Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons,
Very, very curious.
we bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates.
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the
Unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
the People's Channel?
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Question, is there a ceasefire or isn't there?
President Donald Trump says that Israel and Iran have agreed a complete and total ceasefire. Are we stepping away from the brink following days of global uncertainty?
Trump's announcement was somewhat overshadowed as reports came in overnight that missiles continued to be fired, with 3 people killed in southern Israel. We'll have the very latest.
Well, all of this comes as the US president prepares for a NATO summit in the Netherlands, where member states, including the UK, are expected to agree to spend 5% of GDP on defence spending.
Do you think youngsters today spend too much time on their phones? Of course they do. We'll be learning about a new school system aiming to tackle just that, restricting what they can use and when they can use it.
As Venice locals protest Jeff Bezos' extortionate wedding, we're asking, have weddings become too extravagant?
And Ellie, the answer is...
Yes, and I'm part of the problem.
Right, after eating rabbit pie, which is something I'll explain a little bit later, England need 350 runs to beat India on the last day of a thrilling first test at Headingley. Crystal Palace look OK now to play in Europe as New York Jets owner Woody Johnson buys a 43% stake in them. And could Tommy Fleetwood's loss be Europe's Ryder Cup game?
A lot of cloud and some outbreaks of rain out there this morning, but it is going to dry up and brighten up in places, and in some areas it will warm up too. Full details in the forecast coming up.
Very nice to have you on board on this Tuesday morning. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Now, before we go anywhere, if you were listening this time yesterday morning...
Or even last week.
Or even last week, or he's always moaning about them. Paul Coit has been bitten. And he's bitten with mosquitoes, and this happened at home. This hasn't happened at some exotic foreign holiday or whatever it is. Yeah. But, Paul, listen, last night I came across a cure. So apparently, did you know this? So if you've got insect bites and you want to take away the sting, the scratching and itching and all that sort of thing, you basically unpeel a banana, right?
Right.
And you take the skin, and then you rub the inside of the banana skin on your lump,
right?
On your bump. And I saw it actually shoot it on Instagram.
Yeah.
And the bump decreases.
Really?
And the itch leaves it.
Yes.
Banana skin.
Just yesterday.
I know it's bad,
in
mate.
the car.
It's bad. And this was in your car.
This is in the car. I'm thinking, why is it under my watch? Is it itching?
They
and again,
love
there's
you.
Tooth everywhere. I'm like,
well, how do you keep the watch on with that? Can you? Do you not have to ditch?
Look at that. Can you see that? No. Look at that. Look at those two there. Let me just move that round.
That's like a vampire bite.
It is. They're everywhere.
You need to start wearing mozzie spray.
I think so. I think
in the
I
house.
need
There's no other.
But like I said yesterday, one of those all white things that the beekeepers have.
Well, listen, when Marks and Spencer's opens at 7 o'clock this morning, go and buy a banana.
Yeah.
We'll give it a go.
And give it a go. Banana
we could have a bump watch, couldn't we, and watch it go down as the show goes on.
We could do that. We could have a live camera on it.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So between that and your metal spoon, I think you're covered.
I think so, yeah. I still think the metal spoon might be something to do with someone just wanted me to burn myself. I'm not sure, but I've tried everything.
Unless you know different ways of doing this. He's got his metal spoon, which he heats up in hot water.
Yeah.
I've got the banana skin theory.
Yeah.
You may have something that much more effective or whatever.
Bug spray.
Let us know.
Help.
Coming up to 4 minutes past 6 o'clock. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
And President Donald Trump has revealed that Israel and Iran have agreed a ceasefire that he believes will last forever.
Well, Iranian missiles have been launched towards Israel, despite what Trump was saying, and that was throughout the night. Explosions heard from Tel Aviv and Jerusalem.
Well, the Minister of Foreign Affairs for Iran says there's been no agreement of a ceasefire, but Iranian press has said that the ceasefire has now begun. It's a quite confused picture this morning, isn't it?
Quite a confused one. We're now joined by author of Trump 2 Why He Won and what it means for the world, Tim Hames. Tim, good morning to you. Trump's very quick, obviously, with his pronouncements. It's his sort of style. Where do you think we are with a ceasefire?
Well, I think it makes enormous sense from Donald Trump's point of view in that what he's trying to do and what's trying to do over the last 72 hours is intervene decisively on the question of Iran's nuclear ambitions, but avoid being drawn into yet another Middle Eastern war like Afghanistan or Iraq that have absolutely proved quicksand for his predecessors. So from Trump's point of view, this is a smart move. Israel more or less has to agree to his ceasefire terms. That's the quid pro quo of the United States providing the bombing of Fordo that Israel itself could not do. The question mark was really whether Iran had decided enough was enough in terms of its own punishment, if you like. If as seems likely, the Iranian regime has decided does not want to elongate this conflict further, then there's a reasonable chance that this ceasefire will hold, although not necessarily, quotes, forever.
Yeah, and the hard part will be after the ceasefire, if it holds, that is, and that will be keeping nuclear weapons out of Iranian hands. Do you think that by Donald Trump's action, and we heard J.D. Vance saying the US will be happy to strike again if they start rebuilding their nuclear program, do you think that this will stop them from trying again?
It will certainly stop them trying again by this route, in the sense that it's pretty obvious that nothing moves inside Iran without Mossad knowing. So the idea that you could sort of somehow secretly restart it somewhere and secretly rebuild another plant and not expect it to be bombed is pretty fanciful. It really depends now what happens inside the Iranian regime. We don't know to what degree the nuclear program has been dismantled, but it's a reasonable assumption that it's been pushed back several years. If you take out key facilities and, crucially, you take out key people, then that is clearly going to retard your ability to have a program. Now, there may be some other, there may be people inside the regime who are sufficiently hardline on this issue that they look for other solutions. The most drastic would be to attempt to literally buy those weapons off the shelf from North Korea and somehow get them from North Korea to Iran without either Israel or the United States finding out. Good luck with that one. But cooler heads may now say, let's limit our losses. We don't want, as the existing regime change. Let's work out how we can find the least damaging way out of this situation for ourselves where we sit now.
What, Tim, if this wasn't all so serious, it's like watching some sort of war game being played out on computers. So last night, Iran attacks American bases in Qatar. But it gives warnings, and Trump has actually thanked them for warning him and to give them time to intercept the missiles and to make sure there were no casualties or whatever. Is this a joke? Is he joking, or is he being serious?
Well, he's being serious in the sense that clearly there's a kind of game of diplomacy verging, as you imply, on pantomime going here, in that the Iranians felt obliged for their own domestic purposes to be seen to be doing something in retaliation for what occurred in the early hours of Sunday morning. And the Americans probably understood that they needed to be seen to be doing something, but they didn't want that something to turn into something serious. So lobbing something in the broad direction of Qatar and indicating in advance that was probably what they were going to do, plus the fact the Americans have been pretty efficient at shooting down this stuff. Let's face it, the technological advantage of the United States over its rivals in this part of the world is just immense. So, yes, I agree it looks a bit bizarre, but in some ways it's better to have an almost stage-managed ceasefire process than to just continue lobbing stuff at each other for days, weeks, months to come.
Tim Hames.
Yeah, look, great talking to you, and thanks for your take and your perspectives on things. I look forward to reading your book, incidentally, and it all becomes, it's funny how things just don't go away, it all becomes more and more pertinent. But thank you very, very much indeed. We're going to bring in Mike Parry, friend of the programme now, man with always an opinion on everything. Mike, honest to goodness, honestly, you couldn't make it up. It is like war games going on here. It's like Trump says, we'll do that, and then you move this, and then you pretend to fire missiles at us, and we'll take them out. What the heck is going on?
Yeah, I mean, the Middle East has been a puzzle all my life, and I'm in my 70th year, and nothing is ever as it seems. And as you quite rightly say, the retaliation was stage managed to make the people who are the victims feel like they're hitting back. Iran had to sort of convince their people, even though the government's not popular, don't worry, we're fighting back. But it was stage managed. But it's going to move on, again today to another chapter of how this remarkable situation, which Donald Trump has now called the 12-day war. He said, I've ended the 12-day war. He's announced an international ceasefire. Some people in Iran are accepting it, some are not. But today, the NATO meeting starts in The Hague. Now, will the President of the United States suddenly get into Air Force One and fly over to Europe when it's absolutely obvious from what's happened over the last week that the President no longer has much confidence in NATO, but he has absolutely no confidence in Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer, who's the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, was left out of all the talks and all the negotiations which led up to that historic bombing mission which may have taken out the Iranian nuclear threat to the world. The simple situation is that the United States, and Donald Trump in particular, does not trust the United Kingdom. We were not given very much advance warning. We've been given some advance warning, but not enough whereby we could have shared that information.
I'll tell you what, I don't trust what Starmer's going to say today. He's going to announce GDP. We're going to spend 5% on defence spending. Right.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. I just don't believe it, actually.
Well, Eamonn, I think you're absolutely right, because if you look at the military analysts, they'll say 5%, and that, by the way, is in a decade's time. So Putin's got plenty of opportunity to attack us between now and 2035 if he chooses. But even that 5%, looks to me like smoke and mirrors. It's made up of all sorts of spending we're already doing. One person told me that the 5% might also include the money we spend on trying to stop illegal immigrants coming into our country.
Yeah, a mixture of things. It's on VAT receipts. It's all sorts of things as well. So, I mean, to turn around and try and fool us and say, yeah, we're spending it. Yeah, it's going to be in 10 years' time. But, yeah, it's going to be on tiny, pinickety, stupid things. We're not all stupid. We want tanks, we want missiles, we want soldiers, we want boots on the ground. Are we going to get those or not? I don't think we are.
No, I don't either. And already military generals are saying that, look, what's already been announced, like, for instance, the AUKUS deal, where we're all supposed to be getting new submarines, the United States, Australia and the UK. If that AUKUS deal is played out in full, we can't afford it, even if we got up to 5%, because so many spending commitments have already been announced. There's no room for anything else. What the military leaders want is a commitment to what they call hard spending. That hard spending is what you've just been talking about. Tanks, missiles, aircraft, you know, building airfields in this country which can actually defend from people who climb over the fence and spray red paint into our planes and disable them at a cost of £25 million. We seem to be hopelessly unprepared.
And you're therefore in agreement that they should be outlawed?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. But you know, they're not the only problem we've got in this country. Again, getting back to our Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, he seems to want to turn a blind eye to organisations who clearly don't have the interests of our country at heart. In fact, a lot of the people marching around London every weekend, I would say, have the opposite. I would say they're dangerous to our country and they feel ill about living here in the United Kingdom. But Keir Starmer doesn't seem to want to do anything about it. I just don't get it.
And Mike, as part of the manifesto pledges, Labour said that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard would be prescribed as a terror group, and that's yet to happen. You think in the times that we're looking at now, that's more important now than ever?
Yeah, Ellie, you're so right. And do you know why we wouldn't prescribe the Iranian military guard, who are, you know, the elite forces who defend the mullahs in that theocracy called Iran? The reason we wouldn't prescribe them was, according to political circles, we didn't want to upset Iran. Can you believe that? Iran, you know, which is a country run by medieval barbarians, and we were frightened to prescribe one of the most dangerous anti-Western military units in the world in case it upset the mullahs. In Iran. We don't have a coherent foreign policy on how to defend this country.
I just want to say to people listening and watching, you're listening to Mike Perry, you're watching Mike Perry. If you've got an opinion what he's saying, if you agree or disagree with him, get in touch and have your say this morning, and we will reflect those views throughout the programme.
We will, yeah. Mike Perry, good to see you this morning. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. So a lot to talk about there, a lot to go through, a lot on your mind so early in the morning with the time at 6:15. The weather situation, well, 1 minute it's quite nice. The next minute it's raining. It was raining when I came into work this morning. So let's see what it's going to do for the rest of the day.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a grey start out there for most of us. A lot of rain around, but it does tend to ease later. It turns more showery. In some places it will brighten up. Some bright weather there for parts of the southeast and the far north of Scotland first thing. Otherwise extensive cloud, a keen breeze coming from the southwest, and we've got these outbreaks of rain affecting much of Scotland, northwest England, Wales and Northern Ireland. The rain turns to showers by the afternoon, and there will be some brighter interludes, particularly through parts of Wales into the Midlands, East Anglia, and where we get some sunshine, 25 Celsius in the southeast. It's starting to feel more humid again, but staying cool further north. Then we go into Tuesday night, and it's going to stay warm and humid in the south, but cooler across Scotland and Northern Ireland. Still some showers around during the evening. They're not going to be particularly heavy. They'll move through reasonably quickly. Northern Ireland just seeing a few spots of rain here and there, but still a lot of cloud in the sky. Likewise for Northern England into North Wales. Here we've got our old weather front that's just lingering and bringing outbreaks of more persistent rain, particularly over western hills. But clear spells there for parts of the Midlands and the southeast. Despite the clear spells, we have got higher humidities in the south, so some mist and murk around coasts of southern and western UK, and we are going to see another relatively muggy night, I think, in places, particularly towards the south, 16, 17 Celsius, fresher further north, 11 to 12 for parts of Scotland. Now, we begin Wednesday with a lot of cloud once again, but still some brightness across the south and southeast. Northeast Scotland as well, seeing some glimmers of sunshine. We keep the cloudy zone through the Midlands and parts of Wales, some dribs and drabs of rain, but actually for many it turns out to be a drier and brighter day compared with Tuesday. Sunny spells and just a few showers in the north, and feeling much warmer, 27, 28 Celsius in the southeast.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Now do stay with us. Still to come, Paul Coit will be here with all your sports news. That's next.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our viewers and listeners. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
please bring us up to date.
Or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At the crease for us this morning, Mr. Paul, and he's getting underway with some cricket.
Yes, England versus India. I've got to tell you, this is for those that watch cricket or don't watch cricket and say, oh, but Test matches are so boring, 5 days. This is something. This is really a terrific game of cricket. First Test then, finally poised. It's a hell of a final day, so it gets underway this morning. England required 371 runs to win the match in the second innings. They're currently 21 without loss. Rishabh Pant from India, first player to score 100 in both innings against England. So India were 314 for 4, which looked like they were cruising. Everything was looking very good for them yesterday. And then the England bowlers just had a bit of a field day, well, towards the afternoon. And they, you know what they were doing? They were eating rabbit pie.
I was about to say it's something to do with lunch, yeah.
Eating rabbit pie, well, not literally rabbit, this is what they call it. Now, this is a phrase that you're going to hear quite a bit of at the moment, rabbit pie and rabbits. Now, the reason for this is that they call tail-enders, who are the batsmen, or batters right towards the end, who are playing sort of 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, who are not necessarily batsmen, they call them rabbits because they're not as good. Why? Rabbit pie. So when you get the bowlers are bowling them out, one after another, they say they're eating rabbit pie.
Could I just ask you?
Yes, feel free.
Have you ever eaten rabbit pie?
You know what? I haven't eaten rabbit pie.
Have you eaten
I haven't, no. Have you?
No?
No, but I do like pie.
But
I like
pie. But you probably like rabbits, and you wouldn't.
And I do like rabbits, so I probably wouldn't want to eat rabbit pie.
I was watching Clarkson's farm last night, and he reared pigs,
Oh.
right? And then he sent them off to the slaughterhouse.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which was very... I mean, I couldn't do that. I couldn't be sort of like... be like pets to me, and then...
I know. Well, you don't like to see the pigs before you eat them.
And he did the same with the sheep, and they all came back wrapped up in packages, you know, and there's a shoulder, and there's a leg, and there's a whatever.
No rabbits?
No rabbits.
Well, what's this got to do with anything here?
Well, I was just curious. You were talking about rabbit pie. I just wondered if you ever tasted it. I wonder, does it taste like... Run.
See, that's what they do.
Does it taste like chicken, do you think?
I think everything tastes like chicken.
Everything tastes like chicken. Frog's legs taste like chicken, apparently.
Like chicken.
Yeah.
They do.
Never had frog's legs.
No.
I've had a frog's leg.
Have you had snail, though?
No.
Snail's yummy.
Yeah. Is it?
Really yummy, really nice. With garlic, butter.
I've had lots of mussels and things like that, you know, like whelks and all that.
It's a similar thing. Similar consistency.
Similar consistency to all that. Anyway.
So anyway,
Back to the
tomorrow
sport.
I'll be covering desserts and hors
that's
d'oeuvres we'll be doing on Thursday.
Don't you complain. You're the one that brought it up.
Well, just because I mentioned rabbit pie, it wasn't my fault. It was the England bowlers that brought it up. It's nothing to do with
And
me.
their rabbit
Anyway,
pie.
350 runs. England need to win. That's going to be today. And if you go to Headingley, only 20 quid a ticket, which is not bad going, is it?
Not too
Not
bad
bad
for a
going.
day out.
20 quid a ticket.
Well, I thought you said 120.
No, £20 because it's the final day.
Nice.
So and the way England play.
And they need people in there, do they?
Well,
need support.
the thing is, usually there'll be plenty of people that will go, but usually the fifth day, the way England play under this Bazball thing, whack all over the place. It usually doesn't go to the fifth day, so people are buying fourth day tickets, and now for the final day,
It
that's
always
the big one.
amazes me, you know, there we are on a Tuesday afternoon, that people have time to go to watch cricket all day.
I know. If there was a way that people could actually go round who are the employers and go, I thought you were ill. A friend, actually...
Or working from home.
A friend of mine, that happened to a friend of mine. He came with me to football once and he said he was ill and the camera actually picked him out.
Yeah.
So when he was like, oh. Isn't that great? I want to mention Crystal Palace. John Textor, who is the guy who owned 43% of Crystal Palace, who also owns Lyon. And for that reason, because Crystal Palace won the FA Cup, they can't play in the Europa League because he already has stake in another club that he's playing in the competition. So it's a matter of, you know, he needs to sell his stake or Crystal Palace won't be able to play. I don't know how easy it would be to sell something for 190 million, but someone else has come in, a guy called Woody Johnson. Had
Is he
to be
American?
Yeah, Woody Johnson. He's the heir to the Johnson & Johnson pharmaceutical company.
Oh, really?
Talcum powder. Honestly. So that's the guy. So he's an estimated wealth of £6.8 billion. There's Woody there. Already owns the New York Jets, and so signed a legally binding contract for £190 million.
So it's small change to him.
190 million, yes, nothing to him. I mean, how much talcum powder is that? That's not much.
Talcum powder is reckoned to be, or feared to be, a big killer nowadays. We've all used it, and I've rubbed talcum powder on places, you know, and it smelled beautiful and lovely and everything else. But apparently you shouldn't be going near it.
Oh.
No?
I've never used it.
Is it just to dry you off? What is it for?
Yeah, I think it is.
It keeps you smooth.
What's it made from?
Well, it's a powdery business, isn't it?
No, but it's like rubbed like from a pumice stone, or
is it?
I don't know. No, I'm only asking the question.
I don't know. Well, Woody Johnson would know because that's his money's in that.
Now, listen, talking about money, Man United, we're very interested to hear how they're going to reconfigure the team or who they're going to buy or bring in. Transfer talk regarding them this morning.
Yes. Now, it's the Brentford striker. You know, Brian Mbeumo?
Yeah, he's useful, isn't he?
Do you know how to pronounce his name, Brian Mbeumo?
No.
Brian, how do you say...
Brian Mbeumo. Brian Mbeumo.
Thanks, Brian. Brian Mbeumo. That's how you pronounce it. So anyway, looks like Manchester United are very interested. So they offered 45 million plus £10 million add-ons to Brentford for Brian Mbeumo. Then they said no. And the thing is, Brentford said, look, you've bought Matheus Cunha from Wolves for 62 million. So then, and it's like, well, look, Mbeumo's got 4 years Premier League experience, 18 months more than Cunha, 20 goals last season, 5 more than Cunha, and he's a year younger. So they're saying, well, if you're going to pay that for him, you should be paying this sort of money for Brian Mbeumo.
No.
Brian Mbeumo.
Hear who the big competition is for signing him?
I'm guessing it would be his former manager, Thomas Frank, who's now at Tottenham Hotspur.
Yep.
So...
apparently Spurs very interested in him.
What would you... Now, the thing is, you've got skin in the game, I've got skin in the game. What would you do, Ellie? Who would you go for? So you're going to go to Manchester United?
I'd go
for
to
the big
Spurs.
money? Or would you go to Spurs? What would you do?
I am slightly biased, though.
You'd go to a glamour club. You'd go to
Spurs
United.
got the trophy.
No, I mean, Spurs are a minor team who made a lucky European win a few weeks ago with an own goal.
Yeah.
Why would you want to go to them?
Still hanging on to that.
OK, fine.
That's my honest, impartial view.
But do you want to go to a team that looks like they might do quite well this season, or a team that may become relegated?
Do you want to move on to the next story?
Let's do that, shall we?
And he's already got the relationship with Thomas Frank. I think it makes sense.
You see, there you go. Brian Mbeumo. Marcus Rashford, by the way, has said that he wants to play alongside Lamine Yamal at Barcelona. So do I. Don't we all? It's a great move for him. Of course he wants to do that. But did you hear about Alejandro Garnacho? How do you feel about Garnacho? He hasn't been good this season, has he?
Well, he wore a Villa shirt with Rashford's name on the back of it.
There it is. Look at that. I mean,
I can't see him being at United next start of the season.
I mean, what point? He's trying to make a point, obviously, here. He did that when he was dropped from the Europa League final. He put pictures of himself scoring the FA Cup final the year before. There he is on holiday. Which car is his? The one on the left or the one on the right, do you think?
Looks more like the one on the left.
Yeah,
I think it could well be the one on the left. So anyway, he's put this picture on holiday wearing his Marcus Rashford shirt. I don't know if he's trying to make a point that Rashford got a move on loan to Aston Villa or poor Marcus Rashford. I have no idea, but it's not going to endear you to United fans, is it?
I think the lad probably has a grievance. I think he's a very, very good player. And, we go back, you and I have this talk privately all the way. These managers... they do not want flair. They do not want anybody to play outside the system. Yeah. It's always about the system, and makes football more boring and more methodical than it ever used to be. I was saying to you, I was watching that 1972 game, the Coventry against United, And it was just amazing. You just looked at the players, individuals, Ian Storey-Moore, George Best, Dennis Law there, Willie Morgan, all on the same team, all playing that day on the same team.
Yeah.
And, you know, don't talk to me about systems and playing backwards and all that sort of thing, but it's never going to be the same again.
There you go. Well,
we've seen the best of it, football the way it used to be.
Oh, I've missed it all.
Yeah.
Muddy pitches. Heavy balls.
I like it, but the stadium's nice
I'm
now.
not talking about the players. those were the days.
Right,
Yeah.
those are the days.
Those were the days.
OK, my friend. Thank you. Thanks,
Thanks,
very much
Corey.
indeed.
Pleasure.
Now it's time for the Great British Giveaway and your chance to win £54,321 in tax-free cash.
It's a
Hayley.
goodie.
Yeah, it's a goodie.
Absolutely brilliant.
Here's Hayley Sparks with all of the details.
This is your chance to enjoy luxury this summer. It's our biggest cash prize to date, an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. What would you do with that? With all of that cash, you could just chill out, treat yourself and indulge in the finer things in life, somewhere like here, Downhall Hotel and Spa. You really could win the cash giveaway of the summer. Go on, treat yourself.
For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Now, 32 minutes past 6, it's time now for our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hello, my name is Johnny Dade and I'm a vicar in the Church of England. Today is the day when Christians celebrate the life and legacy of John the Baptist. John the Baptist was Jesus' cousin, born miraculously and given a radical vocation to prepare the way for Jesus coming, to get people ready. Was dressed in camel's hair, ate a diet of locusts and honey, and John was a wild and fiery prophet, not afraid to speak truth to power. And he called the nation to get its house in order. I don't know if you've seen the comical t-shirts, "Jesus is coming, look busy." Well, John's message was kind of that, except his concern was the state of people's hearts, not merely their outward actions. I've often reflected on that challenge. In Christian belief, Jesus is coming again for a second time. I wonder what he'll find when he returns. In what state will he find the world, our nation, his church, me? It's the Scouts who have the motto, "Be prepared," isn't it? In the Bible, the word repent that John uses literally means to have a change of mind. It's about whole life transformation. And that's the challenge of John the Baptist. Are we prepared? Or might we need to change?
And with that, we now head out and about to find out what the traffic is doing where you are.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. In Lanarkshire, the M73 Junction 2 on slip is closed southbound for overnight roadworks. Motorists should expect delays. The M4 westbound between Junction 30 Cardiff Gate and Junction 32 Corriton is also shut for maintenance. The M25 anti-clockwise in Hertfordshire between junctions 25 and 24 faces disruption with one lane shut due to a broken down vehicle. The M61 southbound entry slip at junction 8 in Lancashire is closed due to a police incident. And on the trains, East Midlands Railway reports disruption at Manchester-Oxford Road. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, we're going to be speaking to a British expat who says he's lucky to be alive after an Iranian missile exploded next to him and his son on Friday. He's going to be joining us from his hospital bed. You won't want to miss that.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Dewberry. Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there short and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Despite what Donald Trump's saying about ceasefires and whatever, reports have been coming out overnight about continuing missile attacks.
Well, British expat David Mason was caught up in those missile attacks on Friday when he and his son barely escaped with their lives after an Iranian missile exploded next to them in a bombing raid in northern Israel.
Let's speak to David, because David joins us now from his hospital bed, actually, to tell us about this terrifying ordeal. David, how are you?
I'm alive. I'm alive. That's one thing. Yeah. I'm alive.
How bad was it? A close call, was it?
It was very close. The missile hit about 25 feet away from us.
God.
It blew me completely, that's basically off my feet. And it was just dark and just blood everywhere, basically. I landed. As I woke up, there was a body. I was on top of a body which I thought was my son. And as I cleared all the debris away, I looked up and realized my son was standing there with a hole basically in his neck, shot. And, I basically went into father mode, as my other children said, dad mode, took my shirt off, wrapped it around his neck to make sure that he wasn't bleeding more. And then he turned to me and said, "But Dad, you're splurting blood from everywhere. My arms, my back, my head." And I said, "Don't worry about me. I'm worried about you." So basically, I kept hold of his neck to stop him bleeding. And within minutes, the MADA, the ambulance people came, but we were extremely lucky, extremely lucky.
How is he, David?
I'm sorry?
How is he?
My boy is now, he's at home. He does need to go through more examinations because of his ear, make sure that, there's no infection in the neck. He was, the doctor said I saved his life, but as any parent would know, it doesn't matter what situation you go into parent mode.
Yeah.
And he was the one. Basically, he's the one. But what I do want to say is that everybody thinks it's just the Jewish people. It's not. There was also Arabs here, Muslim and Christians being hurt. Everybody's being hurt here. So everybody who's protesting about the destruction of Israel, it's Arabs, Christians, everybody who's helping me here are also Arab Muslims, Arab Christians. We're all fighting the same war. So this is what I'm trying to put out now, that it's not just Jews here who are getting hurt and getting killed. There's also Christian, also Muslim Arabs, and everybody here. People who have been looking after me here in the hospital. I don't think I've heard Hebrew once since I've been here. I mean, they speak to me in English. These people are amazing, and people need to start understanding. It's not just Jews. I'm Jewish myself, but these people here are Arab Muslims and Christians. So, they got to stop this bullshit. I'm sorry for swearing on TV, and I'm not allowed to, but people have to understand it's not just Jews are getting killed here. It's Christians as well, and the Muslims. So...
Yeah, you're all being affected by this, David. And I know as you're lying there in your hospital bed, you're hearing about this ceasefire, this apparent ceasefire. Do you believe that it is a ceasefire, and do you believe it will hold?
Now you get into a place where I will say I'm behind Bibi. I believe in Bibi, Netanyahu. I'm with him every single step of the way, and I don't believe in a ceasefire. If we do not get rid of this regime now, this was going to carry on like the Iraq War, 8 years. Look what happened in Iraq. It was 8 years when that war stopped. If we don't do something now to stop these people, I won't say people, but stop this regime, this is going to carry on and on. Today, this morning, we had more missiles coming over, not just from there, also, we have it all over the place. We have it from Yemen. We have it from Iran. Hezbollah will not intervene. They've already said no. Hezbollah have already said no, we're not going to do it because they're scared. Iran also told the Shiites who were there in Iran, said, if you intervene, we're going to kill you because Iran is scared. You have to understand, Israel is a small country, but we are very, very powerful, very powerful. We have been fighting this war before the Americans came in, and now we're going to fight it even more. Ceasefires is basically like a savings account in your bank. It doesn't do anything for you.
David, we've got to leave it there. Thank you. You keep getting better. and our best wishes to your son as well. Thank you for your
Thank you so much, guys. I love you guys, by the way. I watch you every day on my phone.
David.
You're the one.
So,
You're the one.
David, stay safe and give our love to your son as well.
That'll make you better. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
David
I'm Israel.
watches.
Hi.
Okay.
I'm Israel. Hi.
Thank you.
Take care.
So David Mason there, who's 54 years of age in his hospital bed and obviously overwhelmed by the emotion of all of that, which led him to say a word that some of you may be offended by, but I doubt many of you are, but our apologies nonetheless. Here's Anna Firth, here's Bill Rammel. They've got the newspapers this morning. First of all, anything you'd like to say about David Mason there and his point about, I mean, just what he's going through there and what everybody's going through in the Middle East?
That was really, really powerful, wasn't it? Because it really brought home the real human cost of this conflict in the whole region. I mean, my overwhelming feeling is that Iran is the most murderous regime, one of the most murderous regimes on the planet, and we absolutely do not want those mullahs having a nuclear bomb. And so I support what Trump's doing, but then again, you see that real human cost and you realise that peace has got to be the ultimate objective.
What struck me there from David was he's been struck by a missile and he's saying, I don't want to see a ceasefire, I want to get rid of the Iranian regime.
Well, yeah, I mean, one, it brought home the reality of war, and two, I understand his emotional response, but I think we need a ceasefire. It's not clear what's happening this morning. I think we're heading to a ceasefire because the Iranians, their strike back against the Al-Udeid US base was symbolic. They telegraphed it in advance. And Trump has announced a ceasefire. I think that's because he's always got to be at the centre of attention, and he's spoken too soon. But I think we will get there. But it really begs the question, what happens about securing a nuclear deal? We saw the photographs of 36 lorries at the Fordow base removing the enriched uranium. Where has that gone? And it really begs the question that you can't bomb away nuclear capability. You've got to secure it through negotiations. And I think it's likely as a result of this, there's no incentive for the Iranians now to negotiate. And I think they'll probably withdraw from the proliferation treaty regime. And that will leave us less safe.
Hold that thought, Bill. We've got to take a short break and we'll be back more from Anna and Bill right after this.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries, all sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you or someone you know is heading further afield over the next few days, you can expect widespread sunshine across the Mediterranean, and it's going to be breezy for Greece. The usual seasonal wind blowing through the Greek islands as a result of heat building over Turkey. The heat builds over Italy and the Balearics during the next few days. We're going to see unusually high temperatures during Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and it's mostly fine across Iberia and into the Canary Islands, but you can see the temperature rise in Italy there up to the mid to high 30s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
I'm Camilla Tominey. This is GB News, Britain's election channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
And Tom, look what I received this morning.
This is so sweet. Oh!
Isn't that cute? From one of our viewers and listeners. A little, I think it's homemade.
Shall I hold it up?
Yeah, you hold it up. And a little tiny matching hat as well, which is very cute. Goes up here. So there you go, a little matching hat.
Look
and
at
also,
that.
a lovely little blanket as well. This is from Judith from Leeds, who wrote me a lovely little letter, and to Patrick as well, wishing us well, saying that she loves watching our shows, and I hope we enjoy this little outfit. So there you go.
It's like your little baby is with us already.
So yes, Judith, I hope you're watching, because thank you very much indeed. It's really sweet of you to send that to me. It took a little while to get to us, but we've got it this morning, so that's so cute.
It's incredible craftsmanship, actually.
I'll make sure to take a little picture when the baby arrives.
Are you sure your baby isn't going to be French?
There's something French around it. It's a good thing I like France, so there you go.
Oui, oui.
That's very cute indeed. I just thought I'd say thank you, because it was a really nice surprise this morning.
Yeah, no, it is actually really, really lovely. It does, I mean...
Does it bring a tear to your eye, Tom?
Well, we haven't really...
Feeling very emotional?
I was going to say...
New life?
We haven't really mentioned, your pregnancy in a little while. And
yeah, after the big reveal. After the big reveal.
You're still with us for a few months more before your due date.
I have to depart, yes.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you've got me for a little longer. We'll see how it goes.
Marvellous
See how
stuff.
it goes. It'll be rolling me in. before I leave this desk.
It'll be a GB baby.
GB News baby. GB baby.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
We're back going through the papers with former MPs Anna Firth and Bill Rammell. And let's have a look at defence spending, shall we, Bill? And this is 5% by 2035, the new pledge from Sir Keir Starmer.
Well, I mean, the government's already committed to 2.5%, 3% when resources allow. This is the sign-up to the NATO commitment. I have to say, I question the reality of moving to 5%. That would...
Meaning what, Bill?
That I'm not sure it's achievable. It's being driven by Trump, and actually the cost of moving from 2.5% to 5% is about £80 billion a year, at a time when all our public services are stretched.
I've got £40 billion a year extra it would cost.
Yeah, that's moving, I think, from 3.5 to 5%, but we're just short of 2.5% today.
But what you're hitting upon actually is true. We just want to know the price. Why we can't do it? Can we afford it? Who's dictating it? Is Trump dictating it? You know, it's like the Chagos Islands. Trump basically says to him, "Oi, we're not paying for these. We're not being involved in these. You get these Chagos Islands sorted out." He's dictating lots of things. He's pointing the finger in lots of fronts.
We're dealing with an erratic rogue actor who is President of the United States, and that is damn tough for any nation to deal with. But I think Trump is driving this. There's an element of hypocrisy. The US is only spending 3.4% of GDP on defence at the moment.
Yeah, but he's got a point that Europe hasn't been paying its fair share for a long time.
Historically, absolutely true, and it's why I've strongly supported the move to 2.5 and 3%. But I think 5% is undeliverable. And I'm also not in favour of giving the MOD blank cheques. You know, there is massive, massive waste within the MOD, particularly in procurement, and I think we need to get our house in order.
I think this is complete smoke and mirrors from Starmer. This is unfunded money a decade away. We actually need our defence spending. He needs to get up to his pledge of getting to 3% in this Parliament. And yes, it's a lot of money, but it's a question of priorities. I would not have given £10 billion to the train drivers and to public sector workers. I would have put that in defence.
OK, Anna and Bill, so sorry it's been so brief this hour. We'll have more time with you next hour. Let's get checked now on the weather.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a grey start out there for most of us. A lot of rain around, but it does tend to ease later. It turns more showery. In some places it will brighten up. Some bright weather there for parts of the southeast and the far north of Scotland first thing. Otherwise extensive cloud, a keen breeze coming from the southwest, and we've got these outbreaks of rain affecting much of Scotland, northwest England, Wales and Northern Ireland. The rain turns to showers by the afternoon, and there will be some brighter interludes, particularly through parts of Wales into the Midlands, East Anglia, and where we get some sunshine. 25 Celsius in the southeast. It's starting to feel more humid again, but staying cool further north. Then we go into Tuesday night, and it's going to stay warm and humid in the south, but cooler across Scotland and Northern Ireland. Still some showers around during the evening. They're not going to be particularly heavy. They'll move through reasonably quickly. Northern Ireland just seeing a few spots of rain here and there, but still a lot of cloud in the sky. Likewise for Northern England into North Wales. Here we've got our old weather front that's just lingering and bringing outbreaks of more persistent rain, particularly over western hills. But clear spells there for parts of the Midlands and the southeast. Despite the clear spells, we have got higher humidities in the south, so some mist and murk around coasts of southern and western UK, and we are going to see another relatively muggy night, I think, in places, particularly towards the south, 16, 17 Celsius, fresher further north, 11 to 12 for parts of Scotland. Now, we begin Wednesday with a lot of cloud once again, but still some brightness across the south and southeast. Northeast Scotland as well, seeing some glimmers of sunshine. We keep the cloudy zone through the Midlands and parts of Wales, some dribs and drabs of rain, but actually for many it turns out to be a drier and brighter day compared with Tuesday. Sunny spells and just a few showers in the north, and feeling much warmer, 27, 28 Celsius in the southeast.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M74 is restricted from junction 11 to 9 due to a contraflow. Additionally, the southbound on-slip at junction 10 is closed, with motorists advised to use local diversions. On the M4, maintenance work is scheduled overnight from junction 30 at Cardiff Gate to junction 32 at Corriton between 8 this evening and 6 tomorrow morning. In Hertfordshire, expect delays on the M25 anti-clockwise between junction 25 and 24 due to a broken down vehicle. One lane is currently closed. And on the trains, Greater Anglia reports no trains between Colchester and Clacton-on-Sea. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
We're kick-starting summer with your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our viewers and listeners. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, very good morning to you.
In the last few minutes, Donald Trump has said a ceasefire is now in effect in the Middle East, as he urged both Israel and Iran not to violate it. Are we stepping away from the brink following days of global uncertainty?
Well, his announcement last night was somewhat overshadowed as reports came in that missiles continued to be fired from both sides. 3 people dead.
Well, all of this comes as the US president prepares for a NATO summit in the Netherlands, where member states, including the UK, are expected to agree to spend 5% of GDP on defence.
Mobile phones. Do you think today's youth spend too much time on them? Of course you do.
Yes.
We'll be learning about a new school rating system which aims to tackle that and get that sort of usage under control. How they're going to do it, we'll find out with us.
As Venice locals protest Jeff Bezos' extortionate wedding, we're asking, have weddings become too extravagant?
Did you tell us?
Yes, is the short answer.
Crystal Palace look fine to play in Europe now as New York Jets owner Woody Johnson buys a 43% stake in them. Could Tommy Fleetwood's loss be Europe's Ryder Cup gain? And also England need 350 runs to beat India on the last day of a thrilling first test at Headingley. England great Sir Andrew Strauss will join us shortly.
A lot of cloud and some outbreaks of rain out there this morning, but it is going to dry up and brighten up in places. And in some areas it will warm up too. Full details in the forecast coming up soon.
On this Tuesday morning, a very good morning to you, wherever you're watching, however you're listening. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast. Got a great story for you this morning about 2 bears. Love the story about 2 bears.
It's 3 bears.
Yeah, that's the famous story. This is a new one for you.
OK, fine.
Are these like killer bears?
I think they probably are, but they look quite cute. They're called Mission Lucy. We're going to get a picture for you a little bit later on in the programme. I'm going to do it in the papers. They're 4-year-old bears.
But nobody would know the difference between if it was actually
between whether
those
it's
bears
Mission Lucy
or any other bears.
Or another set of bears, yeah.
Because they do look similar, unless one of those has a moustache maybe in glasses.
Well, they're big brown bears, so we can imagine that.
I get the idea.
And they were living in a zoo in Devon, and they escaped.
No.
Yes. And they're very clever bears because they went to the food store and ate a week's supply of honey.
As you would.
As you would. They knew exactly where to go.
Do they really eat honey then?
Yeah.
I thought it was just like, you know...
Like Yogi Bear.
Yeah.
And they scoop it out with their big paws.
No, they do that. But the thing is about
they're now
bears,
safely back.
Bears are killers. There's no doubt, and they're some of the most dangerous animals in the world. And biggest killer in the world is a polar bear, for instance. Yeah. But I saw some footage on Instagram last week, and bears being cuddly and friendly, there is definitely a side to animals. I believe if we can break through the barrier and talk like Dr. Dolittle to animals, horses, cows. No, I'm being serious. I do think there is a language that we can't...
I've seen Rex Harrison, I'm sorry, go on.
Yeah, that we can't sort of get at and penetrate. And I do think that there is more that unites us than divides us, and we just have to find out what it is and how to talk to them and how to feed them honey all the time, for instance.
Maybe you should have been sent down to the zoo and you could have put them back.
Yeah.
They were safely put back in their enclosure, by the way, after an hour, and everybody at the zoo was put into a safe building whilst the bears were loose.
I do have a problem with zoos, but by and large, that, should 2 big animals like that be in a pen?
I agree.
I think it's got to be different.
It's a thing, it goes back so long. We're going back to Victorian times.
Yeah.
And they've had but it's so... And how, for me, no matter how many zoos will say, oh, it's conservation, etc., you're keeping animals.
I think they have changed, haven't they, over the years?
They try, of course they try to change.
But you still got that
much bigger enclosures. I know what you mean.
You couldn't have a big... It's like saying to us, keep us in this studio and we'll all be happy. You just need the idea that you can move and you can act whatever way you want. I think so. Whatever.
You better see them in the wild.
Yeah.
Go see your bears in Canada or something.
And be able to talk to them and feed them honey.
Talk to the animal.
But they're both safe now, you'll be glad to know. Back in their enclosure.
Just to say, 20:07, big guest from you.
Sir Andrew Strauss, one of our great cricketers, 3-time Ashes winner, And this game, I tell you, against India, which is on Headingley at the moment, is just unbelievable. So he's the perfect guest.
OK.
Because I don't know which way it's going to go, and I think maybe he will be able to tell us.
OK, well, we look forward to that. 7:20. Thank you.
Thanks, Boyty.
Donald Trump has revealed that a ceasefire between Israel and Iran is now in full effect, he says, and has asked both countries not to violate it.
Well, Iranian missiles were launched towards Israel up until the ceasefire came into effect, with explosions heard from Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, where 9 people were killed overnight.
Israeli military has said they attacked missile launchers in Iran, but President Trump believes the peace will now last forever.
Well, we're now joined by retired Royal Navy officer Rear Admiral Chris Perry. Good morning to you, Chris. Do you think the ceasefire is going to hold?
Well, it very much depends on the constraints that can be placed on the Iranian regime. I think there's going to be a need to be a lot of confidence-building measures and real clear proof that Iran doesn't get up to its old tricks of violating the nuclear agreement and also isn't rearming with ballistic cruise and other missiles.
Yeah, you're saying about, rearming and nuclear tricks and things like that. We've been talking this morning and saying, who was monitoring this? I mean, there's an international body, isn't there, that's supposed to monitor all this. What the heck have they been doing?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Eamonn. The International Atomic Energy Authority should have been monitoring this. But as we saw with Iraq before, there are lots of ways in which regimes can get round this. I'm afraid not all of the officials are as honest as you and me. And I think politicians have a habit of looking the other way when it's convenient for them. So all these things put together have allowed the Iranian regime to get away with it. I should add that there's also been the distraction of Iran building this sort of axis of resistance where it's used Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, the militias in Iraq and indeed the Syrian regime to blindside a lot of people as to what is really going on.
And do you think that Iran will rebuild its nuclear program? Because we were hearing reports yesterday that actually a lot of material had been moved ahead of the US strikes at the weekend. And we're also hearing yesterday from Robert Fox, the defence analyst, that they perhaps hadn't penetrated deep enough to actually destroy the program. So potentially this won't have stopped them building a nuclear weapon, but just delayed it.
Ellie, I think that's absolutely right. I think a certain proportion of fissile material has been removed. My own view is they've got enough fissile material to make either half a dozen nuclear devices or indeed a dirty bomb as well. What people don't seem to realise is most of the effort goes in enriching uranium to 5% of weapons grade. Once you get to 60% where they are, it's actually quite an easy move to get to 90% where we think they are, and indeed beyond that. So you may be right, the program's still intact. I think the bunker buster bombs, though, did their job. There's no question about that. If you look at the way you've got vent holes coming out of the mountain at Fordo, for example, and the Natanz looks to be severely beaten up. So I think that they did their job. And of course, that's a promise of more things to come if they misbehave in future. I think the critical thing is the state of the regime, to tell you the truth. Most of its senior leadership has been assassinated. Its military leadership has been decapitated. And the Iranian people don't want this regime. So I've been saying to a lot of my people and my students, I don't think the Iranian regime is going to last more than about a year, 18 months.
Well, that's really interesting because Trump was clarifying his comments on regime change, which we saw him post out on Truth Social. He was saying it's actually up to the Iranian people to rise up against their regime. Do you think that's something that we could realistically see now? Because they've been weakened, haven't they, and humiliated by what we've seen in the last 12 days?
I suspect, Ellie, not weakened enough, to tell you the truth. If you look at regimes like this, which have a very heavy repressive apparatus at national and local level, you actually have to really take apart the regime. Look at what we had to do to the Nazis to get rid of the Gestapo and the SS. It was the same in Japan. You really have to knock a regime very hard indeed. And I think in some ways the ceasefire gives Iran a breathing space. So unless the pressure is maintained on that regime, there's not much chance of regime change in the current environment.
Rear Admiral, fascinating talking to you. Thank you very much for your opinions. We'll leave it there. We've got to move on to political commentator Mike Parry on all of this. And as to what do you make, Mike, of what the Rear Admiral has said or what you're hearing about how things have developed over the past couple of days?
Yeah, well, the Rear Admiral made some great points, but then again, he's very experienced in these ways. There's already negativity turning on what President Trump has done. I mean, I applaud what he did. It was a massively bold decision. It was a brave decision. And he has literally put back Iran's plans for nuclear weaponry by at least 4 or 5 years, even if they have rescued some of that enriched uranium, which we saw being escorted from one of those mountain layers in a petrol tanker. But for instance, William Hague, I think he's a former Foreign Secretary of the United Kingdom, former leader of the Tory party. Even this morning, he's piping up and saying things like, well, I think this makes it more likely now that Iran will get a nuclear weapon. I just hate the negativity. And, you know, when we were talking about Keir Starmer, it wasn't so much negativity from Keir Starmer, it was complete lack of support. The only statement he made after this historic strike, which has wiped out Iran to all intents and purposes, certainly for the next few years, his only response was to make a statement, a very bland statement,
Mike,
saying
what's he playing at then? You know, because when you need that courage, that conviction, that leadership, that status, where is Britain at? Where do we stand on this? He's nowhere to be seen.
Nowhere to be seen. It's completely the opposite. There are anti-Zionists in the Labour Party. We all know that. We also know that all the time he's looking over his shoulder at the Muslim vote in this country. And I think those concerns, which shouldn't be a major concern of a United Kingdom Prime Minister, I think they're dictating some of his policy. Remember, he's surrounded by people like Lord Hermer, who even have the audacity to question the legality of the American strike and whether Britain could ever get involved, right? He's surrounded by David Lammy, a foreign secretary who has sanctioned members of the Israeli government because he thinks they're a bit extreme, who withdrew export licenses to Israel, who need weapons to defend themselves. And I just think our standing in the world, and certainly in the eyes of President Trump, is very, very tiny. That raid took place with 120 aircraft, OK, in addition to 9 and then 7 of the B-2s. 2 of them went off to Guam. There were another over 100 planes. Now, in the past, you would have expected the RAF to have formed some part of that strike. Mrs. Thatcher was so close to President Reagan that when Reagan decided to attack Libya in 1986 to remind Colonel Gaddafi not to commit terrorist acts against America, not only did President Reagan trust Mrs. Thatcher, but he launched the attack from Lakenheath Airfield in Lincolnshire. That's the sort of bond we used to have with the United States. The French wouldn't let those planes fly over their country, so the US planes flew down the coast of France, turned left into the Mediterranean, struck, and then came back to Lakenheath. We haven't got a hope in hell of getting a relationship like that with America, the mightiest power in the world, while Keir Starmer is still our Prime Minister.
Let me put it another way, Mike. Trump doesn't need him. He doesn't need to consult him. He doesn't need to ask him. He doesn't need any help from him. So why should he bother?
Well, the reason he doesn't need him is because I'm afraid Starmer's proved to be so useless. But if he was a good Prime Minister, if he looked after the interest of this country, he would need him. For instance, we haven't had an explanation yet as to why the Chagos Islands wasn't used to launch this raid. Diego Garcia, you know, the biggest military base in the world almost, is there and available. But once again, I think the Americans decided they couldn't risk anything coming through Diego Garcia now that it's on the way to being owned by Mauritius, who have close links to China. So, of course, President Trump has completely sidelined Starmer because Starmer, with Lord Hermer, you know, the blinking Attorney General, don't mean to be rude, but the Attorney General of the United Kingdom, they simply are so unsympathetic to the needs of the free world in which we live, of course President Trump doesn't trust them.
And Mike, do you think President Trump will be pleased at the NATO summit today, where we're going to see Sir Keir Starmer pledge 5% of GDP by 2035?
Yeah, well, OK, so that's a decade away. So President Putin in Russia, who we've all seemed to have forgotten about because of what's happening in the Middle East, he's got 10 years now to decide whether... I mean, already President Zelensky of Ukraine is predicting that Putin will strike a NATO country within the next 5 years. Well, we're in NATO, so that makes us a candidate. We couldn't possibly defend ourselves. It's 10 years away. But the problem is, when you look at the figures that Starmer's putting forward to say he'll get to 5%, it's completely unrealistic. Ask any military man. It's smoke and mirrors. It includes things like, you know, the pension fund for the Ministry of Defence. It includes things like the money we're spending, and we're not spending enough, on trying to stop people coming across the English Channel. It's not a core, you know, hard metal figure which will bring us aeroplanes, which will bring us tanks, which will bring us missiles. Again, the Americans know that, and the Americans are pushing us to get to 5% and then examining the figures.
Well, that's what Mike Perry thinks. What do you think about what Mike thinks? Let us know. Have your say this morning. Get in touch and we'll reflect those. Mike, always a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed. Good talking to you.
Thanks, Mike. Now, 15 minutes past 7, let's get a check on your weather.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a grey start out there for most of us. A lot of rain around, but it does tend to ease later. It turns more showery. In some places it will brighten up. Some bright weather there for parts of the southeast and the far north of Scotland first thing. Otherwise extensive cloud, a keen breeze coming from the southwest, and we've got these outbreaks of rain affecting much of Scotland, northwest England, Wales and Northern Ireland. The rain turns to showers by the afternoon, and there will be some brighter interludes, particularly through parts of Wales into the Midlands, East Anglia, and where we get some sunshine. 25 Celsius in the southeast. It's starting to feel more humid again, but staying cool further north. Then we go into Tuesday night, and it's going to stay warm and humid in the south, but cooler across Scotland and Northern Ireland. Still some showers around during the evening. They're not going to be particularly heavy. They'll move through reasonably quickly. Northern Ireland just seeing a few spots of rain here and there, but still a lot of cloud in the sky. Likewise for Northern England into North Wales. Here we've got our old weather front that's just lingering and bringing outbreaks of more persistent rain, particularly over western hills. But clear spells there for parts of the Midlands and the southeast. Despite the clear spells, we have got higher humidities in the south, so some mist and murk around coasts of southern and western UK, and we are going to see another relatively muggy night, I think, in places, particularly towards the south, 16, 17 Celsius, fresher further north, 11 to 12 for parts of Scotland. Now, we begin Wednesday with a lot of cloud once again, but still some brightness across the south and southeast. Northeast Scotland as well, seeing some glimmers of sunshine. We keep the cloudy zone through the Midlands and parts of Wales, some dribs and drabs of rain, but actually for many it turns out to be a drier and brighter day compared with Tuesday. Sunny spells and just a few showers in the north, and feeling much warmer, 27, 28 Celsius in the southeast.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Now it's time for the great British giveaway, and it's a goodie, isn't it?
54,321 quid, OK? And that is our biggest cash prize to date.
It's also tax-free, did you know? Hayley
It'll do.
Sparks has all the details for you.
We're here at Down Hall in Essex to enjoy the finer things in life, and it's your chance to win £54,321 in cash. It's like having an extra £1,000 in your bank account each week for a whole year, which means that you'd be able to indulge in treats whenever you wanted to. That extra cash each week could send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing this year to enable you to sit back, relax and do nothing. Make sure you don't miss out on our biggest cash giveaway to date.
For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Okay, we've got Paul next, and Paul has got a cricket legend next.
Sir Andrew Strauss.
Okay, we look forward to that, my friend. Back with that live right after this. Don't go away.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date. Or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our viewers and listeners. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's time to go for the latest sports news. Paul Coyte's here with us. Morning.
Morning. What were the bowlers, the England bowlers, eating?
Rabbit pie.
Rabbit pie. Rabbit pie, and we now know exactly why. Rabbit pie.
Yes.
You'll get by without your rabbit pie. So run, rabbit, run, rabbit, run. Listen, it's a huge game then. Fifth day of the first test, England versus India. England need 350 runs to win. Let's just bring on one of our greatest cricketers of all time, a true legend, 3-time Ashes winner, Sir Andrew Strauss. Morning, Andrew.
Good morning, Paul. How are we?
Yeah, I'm really well. It's great to see you again. Is it me, or has rabbit pie been around for a long time? Because I've heard this. I'm thinking, why have I never heard this rabbit pie phrase before?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've definitely heard it many times in my career. I've never tasted it myself, but but hopefully there will be people tasting it today.
It's really one hell of a test match, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, this has been billed as a very high-quality series right from the start, and this match in particular has lived up to that billing. An extraordinary array of talent, extraordinary sort of positive intent from both teams, and of course a match that's going right down to the wire today. So it's the perfect start to this 5-match series. India are a phenomenal team, and I suppose they're just about favourites today, but England have a great opportunity to do something really special here on the 5th day.
Because Headingley, there's something about Headingley, isn't there, about run chases. This often comes up. There would have been games that you've been involved in as well. What is it? Is this just coincidence, or is there something in that place?
Well, I think that the pitch doesn't tend to deteriorate as much as some other pitches, so I think you've still got a chance to bat pretty well on day 5. But of course, you remember Ben Stokes' extraordinary innings against Australia in 2019 and what he did there. And so, you know, this is set up really well. We don't actually get that many test matches going to the 5th day anymore. So this is, on the surface, a traditional test match. But of course, the way the two teams have played have been quite extraordinary. Some of the shots that people are playing now, I mean, you know, my generation of cricketer just can't even begin to appreciate the level of skill, but also the ambition that these players are showing. And so I'm going to be riveted to see how it all unfolds today.
There's no such thing about just keeping the old straight bat these days, is there? That just doesn't exist anymore.
No, in my day, we used to leave the odd ball, but that doesn't seem to happen very often these days.
You mentioned about going to the 5th day, and I know that the prices are cheaper, and I guess with England playing, if England ever play, you're always going to make the 5th day really cheap because they don't expect that it's going to go that far. Now, this is the Bazball thing. Everybody talks about Bazball. It's just this swashbuckling style for people that don't know. Are you a believer in this? Is this the future of cricket, the way England are playing? Is this the right thing to be doing? Is this what you would be doing?
I definitely wouldn't be doing it, but I tell you what, I think it's England's best chance of winning, and I think that's the point. In Test match cricket, you've always got to look at what is unique about your team and what is your best way of winning Test matches consistently. And so for this team, you know, bear in mind when Ben Stokes and Brendan McCullum came in, I think England had won 1 out of their last 17 Test matches, and they've completely transformed the approach, the confidence, the fearlessness of those players. And they ask some serious questions of the opposition because you know they're never going to take a backward step. They're going to keep coming at you. Ben Stokes hates the idea of drawing a test match. And so England have had some remarkable successes with this approach, especially at home, actually. And I think it's here to stay. I mean, there's so much more skill in Test cricket these days. The players can sort of transfer those skills they've learned from the short form games into Test cricket. And by the way, it's a much more watchable product as a result. So the crowd are going to be fully entertained right through the day today.
Sure, absolutely. And that's what makes it great for me. It is really entertaining. And that thing you talk about, the philosophy, and that's no fear, going in with no fear. How would you feel if you're going into bat this morning? Blimey, I'm hoping the rain's going to keep off because we don't want to end up rained off. But what would be your thought? You're walking up there to the crease, kick it off this morning, 5th day, you know you've got to stick around. What is usually in the head of batters at this point?
Well, if I'd be going in there, I'd be thinking, like, let's make sure we get through the first hour, not lose too many wickets, and then we can maybe, you know, expand our strokes after that. But I know that this team won't be doing anything like that. They'll be going out hard right from the start. And I think the good thing is that the run rate's not going to be a problem. So that if they bat all day today, England, they will win. But of course, India have a very strong bowling attack, with Bumrah in particular being one of, if not the greatest, seam bowler of all time. So, you know, I looked at the sort of win predictor, the stats on this, and I think India have got about a 60% chance of winning, and England only 20%. I think that looks at previous results, and I think it's going to be a bit closer than that. But you'd say that India just had the advantage.
What's in the gut, though? What do you think?
I feel we could do something really special today.
I hoped you might say that. Now, I want a quick word about the Apex Cricket Festival, which is something I know you're involved in, and it's for under 15 players, right, around the world?
Yeah, exactly. A schools cricket festival with a difference, really, and it's different in a number of ways. Firstly, it's boys and girls, and it's been such an extraordinary thing to see the rise of girls cricket. Secondly, genuinely global festival, so we've got teams from South Africa and Namibia and other parts of the world in there. And thirdly, and most importantly, bringing sort of kids together from really different backgrounds. Yep. So we've got sort of private schools. We've also got the MCC Foundation, who do such a great job of introducing cricket into disadvantaged communities. So a real melting pot of kids that are there to win, but also to learn. And so we've got some fantastic coaches there to teach skills, but also some life skills as well at a very sort of formative age for these kids. So really trying to reimagine a cricket festival. Can't wait for it to start on Sunday down at Millfield School.
And very briefly, another Red for Ruth Day we're going to have, I guess, at Lord's against India, right, for you?
That's right, yeah, coming up very soon on July 11th. I'll be dusting off that red suit once more and trying to showcase all the great work that goes on at the Ruth Strauss Foundation.
You know what? Being a Spurs fan, wearing red is always very tricky for me, Andrew, but for you, always. Listen, it's really good to see you. Fingers crossed for a good result, and we'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Cheers, then.
Great stuff. Thank you very much. The great Sir Andrew Strauss.
That was a good chat, yeah. Lovely man.
Nice.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed.
Should I have said Sir, though? Should I have called him Sir Andrew?
Yes.
Do you think so? Is it disrespectful?
Well, I'm just telling you. I'm telling you, if it comes my way,
yeah.
no, right,
I'll be on one knee every time I see
Two knees. Two knees, at least. OK.
Thanks,
coming up, smartphones and schools. How do they go side by side? Should they go side by side? Is it a recipe for disaster? Talking about that next.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Maintenance continues on the M4 westbound between junctions 30 Cardiff Gate and 32 Corryton from 8 tonight to 6 tomorrow morning. An accident on the M1 southbound exit at junction 23A Leicestershire reduces traffic to one lane with normal conditions by 8 this morning. In Hertfordshire, the M25 anti-clockwise has a broken down vehicle closing one lane between junctions 25 and 24 with clearance by 7:37. And on the trains, disruption at Manchester-Oxford Road for East Midlands Railway and no trains between Colchester and Colchester Town for Greater Anglia. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there short and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dewberry, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Now, schools and smartphones, should they go together? Should schools be free from smartphones? Does it sound like a pipe dream? You're nodding your head. You're definitely...
Well, there's links, isn't there, between behaviour and the standard that students are learning at and their smartphones. And if they're distracted by smartphones and attendance, they've got their smartphone in the classroom.
Now, we're going to talk about the Unplugged Coalition. They are launching a national smartphone-free schools rating system today. So it'll give schools a gold, silver or bronze grade based on their effectiveness in restricting smartphone use throughout the school day.
Well, the goal is to protect children from harmful digital content during school hours.
Well, we're delighted to have in the studio co-founder of Smartphone Free Schools Rating. It's Jennifer Powers, who's here to tell us about it. And Jennifer, the first thing I have really, I'm a bit like Ellie here, and I'm thinking, so what's the problem? What's the problem? This sounds very sensible. This sounds, you know, the way it should be. If I was running a school, I would have a ban on phones being used in the classroom. You can have them between classes or whatever, but not during class time. What is the issue?
Well, the issue is that in the vast majority of schools in this country, smartphones are still available and in use on site. And as you both have said, that has serious repercussions for behaviour in schools, for educational attainment of the children. So for the first time ever in the UK, and I think around the world, there are now clear standards of what makes a robustly smartphone-free school. Because every school has a policy banning smartphones. But what does that policy actually look like, and how well is it enforced? So we now have the gold, silver and bronze. And
but Jennifer, there must be educationalists, headmasters, teachers, whatever, who are saying, no, it's OK to have these. These can actually help during lessons, for instance.
Well, I think that the evidence is fairly clear that having access to smartphones during the day is actually not beneficial for children or the schools. This rating system is designed by head teachers who really want to see schools going genuinely smartphone free. And the way to do that is to either lock them away during the school day in a locker or in a lockable pouch, or even better, to not allow them on the premises. So we've got primary schools around the country, it's a really big trend now, to actually say, look, if your child walks to school in year 5 or 6, they're not allowed to turn in a smartphone. It has to be a brick phone, just a very, very simple phone.
What pupil in year 5 and 6 has a smartphone anyway? I mean, is that as young as we're seeing? I mean, how old are they then, 10?
No, sadly, a quarter of 5 to 7-year-olds in this country have their own smartphone.
Gosh.
Now, that's not to say they're bringing it to school because they're being dropped off, but when they come in years 5 and 6. So a lot of primary schools are sending a really clear message that says smartphones are actually devices for adults. We don't want them in school. And then secondary schools, I've had 2 calls in the last week from deputy head teachers at secondary schools saying they're going smartphone free on the premises for year 7s from September, which is fantastic news. And then they're rolling that up year on year. So next year, as that group gets older, it'll be years 7, 8, then 9, all the way through till year 11. So very much the trend. We're hoping this rating system will help head teachers all across the country know what good looks like.
Well, it will be helpful for parents as well, because you'd imagine parents would start to seek out smartphone-free schools that they can send their children to.
Absolutely. So it really informs parents and it helps them understand the policy and compare policies. It helps head teachers because they know what good looks like, and our system helps them move up the ratings from bronze, silver to gold. And most importantly, it helps children because we know that children thrive in smartphone-free schools.
But who would pay attention to your ratings? Who adopts your ratings and who says that is the standard we must apply?
Well, there's currently no rating out there.
Yeah.
And so the head teachers, concerned head teachers from across the country have come together and we've been working for the last 5 months to pull this together. We hope and expect all political parties to be supportive. We expect schools to be supportive because, of course, everyone sees what the problem is. There just hasn't been a really clear definition of what good looks like. And so we're hoping, you know, hundreds, thousands of schools will sign up.
Do you know what the issue is in this? I don't think it's so much the pupils, I think it's parents, right? You'll always get parents interrupting and saying, oh, but yes, little Jimmy needs to be able to tell me if he gets a sore tummy during the day or whatever, you know, and you start to think, well, what did we do when
went to the
we
school office?
Yeah. And so how can parents interfere with all of this?
Well, you're right in the sense that some of the head teachers that I speak to are a little bit reticent to put this in because they're concerned about the backlash from parents. And you know, we all know there's occasionally a difficult parent, but what's been wonderful to hear from the head teachers who've implemented this policy is the vast majority of parents welcome it. Why? Because it makes their life easier, because they say, oh, well, the school doesn't allow you to have a smartphone, therefore I don't need to buy you one, you don't need to become addicted to social media, spend hours and hours scrolling. So it's actually useful for schools. I'm just going to tell you a really lovely story quickly, which is a head teacher who implemented a robustly smartphone-free policy a few months ago. And I asked him, what was the first thing you noticed? Not the biggest impact, just the first thing.
Yeah.
He said, sound. Before in his school, the children, it was quiet between class and at break because they were all looking at their smartphones. He said, the first day they implemented a robustly smartphone-free school, laughter.
Laughter.
The laughter came back to the school.
They're talking to each other.
They're talking to and doing what kids should do. So we hope all the schools out there will sign up. Just Google smartphone-free schools rating, and it takes 1 minute, absolutely free.
And maybe those children will maybe one day appreciate what they're losing out on and what they should have, but it's not all there in a smartphone. Jennifer, good luck with what you're trying to do. Jennifer Powers is director of the Unplugged Coalition in all of this, and we hope to hear more as the year progresses as to how you're doing and if it is successful. And if you're a parent, why do you object? Why would you object? What's your worry? What's your fear with all of this? Please do let us know. Yep. So appreciate Jennifer. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Good to see you
not
both.
at all. Good luck.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, Bill and Anna will be back to see what's making the news this morning. There they are. But first, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you or someone you know is heading further afield over the next few days, you can expect widespread sunshine across the Mediterranean, and it's going to be breezy for Greece. The usual seasonal wind blowing through the Greek islands as a result of heat building over Turkey. The heat builds over Italy and the Balearics during the next few days. We're going to see unusually high temperatures during Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and it's mostly fine across Iberia and into the Canary Islands, but you can see the temperature rise in Italy there up to the mid to high 30s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our viewers and listeners. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Welcome to the Bakerloo line, where over the last year, 2 years, every single carriage seems to have been just absolutely covered in graffiti. So we're out this morning to try and do what the Mayor, Sadiq Khan, seemingly can't. Let's clean up the tube. Look, these doors used to be covered in graffiti, but no more. See, it's not impossible.
Not impossible it is, because there is so much that can actually be done. And just a few friends of mine, actually a guy called Joe Reeve, who organised this all, he's from the campaign group Looking for Growth. And he got in touch and said, do I want to come? And I was like, absolutely, I bloomin' do. Because I think we can show some pictures of some of our work, which was just on Sunday morning. And it was actually remarkably simple. What we did was we sprayed the graffiti with sort of anti-graffiti spray, eco-friendly anti-graffiti spray, actually, as it is.
I didn't even know it was a thing.
A bit of scrubbing, and look, it just comes off. I mean, this stuff is not rocket science. A total lack of imagination, a total unwillingness to do anything about the sort of social decay that we're seeing in our cities in the country at the moment. A laziness, a profound laziness and lack of political will at the heart of the governance of London that means that people are just like, oh, the washing machine's broken, we'll just live with this social decay. Well, no, you don't have to live with the social decay. You can come up with new ways to do things. You can give some people some sponges, some water and some graffiti spray and get that stuff off. It's not impossible. Pull your socks up, Sadiq. Do something about it.
GB News, the People's Channel.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Now, about half an hour ago on the programme, Ellie was talking about
my bears.
Bears, and well, what can we say? Well, let's show you the pictures of the bears, and we'll talk about these in the company of Anna Firth and Bill Rammell. So those are the actual bears, Ellie, yeah?
Yeah, they're so cute, aren't they?
And the story is what?
Well, they escaped from a site in Devon, and thankfully they've been put back in their enclosure now. They're only gone for about an hour, but they're very clever bears, weren't they, Bill?
Yeah, they are. I mean, firstly, I'm puzzled by this story because it says that they've eaten a lot of honey. I thought that was just in Paddington stories. I didn't think they were really keen on honey.
No, they actually love honey.
Yeah, interesting. But the other feature of this is, I mean, they're fantastic creatures. They're very intelligent creatures. And I think there's a real question mark about whether they should be in captivity.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we were saying.
Totally agree. They're just too big, too intelligent. It's sad to see. I mean, they do look cute and lovely, but they are killers, and they're very good predators, good killers.
And there's evidence that in captivity they're pacing, they're swaying, they're biting the bars, all of which are indications of psychological distress.
And these are only 4-year-old bears. They're called Mish and Lucy, and they were missing for an hour, and they'd gone straight to their food store. Because they are clever bears, and they went and ate a week's supply of honey.
I thought it was quite funny to see the difference between the way it was reported nationally that these bears had escaped, but the local papers said they were hungry bears that had escaped. Clearly they were hungry.
They're nice, safe and...
Have you noticed that so many wildlife parks seem to be losing wildlife? Last week when I came in, it was about pythons.
It was a python, wasn't it?
Yeah, on the loose. Now, this week it's bears.
That would really concern me. I loathe snakes with a vengeance.
I wouldn't want to be caught next to a bear either, though.
Anna, front page of the Times today, it's talking about millionaires leaving Britain in record numbers. Now, Nigel Farage gave a speech on this yesterday, but these are big figures. Britain is on track to lose a record 16,500 millionaires this year.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge problem.
Yeah.
Last year, the actual figures showed we lost a millionaire, one every 45 minutes. On these figures, it's a 50% up again. That's one every half an hour.
But, Anna, why is it a problem?
Well, it's a problem because it's equivalent to losing 500,000 taxpayers. It's equivalent to losing £111 billion of our tax take, which is 13%. That is a lot of police officers. That's a lot of...
Would you be in agreement with that, Bill? Can you see the danger of this?
No, I don't. And non-DOMs, which is at the centre of this, already get preferential tax treatment. They've got 4 years exemption from paying tax on their foreign income and assets. Farage is saying give it for 20 years. Well, that will cost £34 billion. And because they're paying less tax, everybody else is paying more tax. And to put the figures in context, we've actually got 3 million millionaires in this country. It's about 0.5% of the total. This is not a massive wealth asset brain drain.
The figures that Anna just gave us there, 16,500 to lose them and what it would cost. So if we're paying for them now, we're going to pay more for them in the future.
Well, exactly. I mean, there's clearly, perhaps there's more than one study, but if we are losing anything like £100 billion of our tax take, that is enormous. And why on earth wouldn't we want to attract wealthy people into the country? You know, they buy our luxury goods, they go to our restaurants, hopefully they come down to Leon Sea from time to time and taste our internationally acclaimed cockles. But they use our hotels. They go. You know, they always used to flood, didn't they, to Harrods, to Regent Street, to buy our luxury clothes.
In terms of a government that's going for growth, I mean, as you say, these are the people that you want, aren't they? Because there are entrepreneurs, there are investors. They've got the money to invest in business.
Yeah, but the hard choice, Anna, is which taxes would you put up for ordinary working people in order to fund a better deal on non-doms?
No, I'm not saying that we should that they should pay no tax, because I agree with you. I don't agree with what Nigel Farage is saying, because that will lose us 33 or 34 billion pounds every year. No, I'm just saying that we mustn't put wealthy entrepreneurs off from coming to this country.
Okay. And I'm not convinced by the figures that we are. It's 0.5%, and these figures fluctuate from year to year.
Well, Bill, I want to talk now. This is in the Telegraph today. Asylum seekers, right? And there are issues, there are problems. I mean, we have ongoing problems in Northern Ireland where a young girl was sexually assaulted, and the police are now getting involved around the country, realising that a lack of respect for women has got to be instilled in these people, or educated into them, or...?
Yeah, I absolutely support what the police are doing. I mean, look, I want to see net migration come down. I want to see asylum seekers come down. But whatever the circumstances, there are going to be a number. And fundamentally, they've got to sign up to integration. They've got to sign up to UK culture. And actually, and, you know, prefacing this case was a 29-year-old Afghan man accused of rape, and he cited cultural differences as a justification for raping a teenage girl. That is not acceptable, and the police saying you've got to respect UK culture, women have the same rights as men, absolutely important, and violence in all circumstances is wrong. I remember as a minister arguing in respect of immigration from people from Muslim countries. If you think the UK is either a Christian or a secular country, if you think that your faith is going to have the same degree of relevance and authority as if you were living in a Muslim country, it's not on. Right. You have to integrate, you have to assimilate.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree, but I think we need an awful lot more than just a slideshow. I mean, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. If you want to come and live in this country, then you don't indulge in cousin marriage. You don't get involved in grooming gangs where you're raping our girls. You don't start committing offences. We have far too many people coming to this country who, when they're here, they are behaving and living in a culture which is totally alien to ours. And if you break our rules, if you break our laws, then you should be out.
Yeah.
Okay.
End of. A lot of people would agree with you there, Anna. Let's have a look at the time, shall we? And the National Memorial to Elizabeth II, Queen Elizabeth II.
Now, this is a lovely story. I love all memorials and anything to do with our late Queen, who many of us, I still think, you know, she was the Queen, wasn't she? And I also like the fact that Norman Foster's design has been chosen, and he is 90. So, you know, he is 90. Just like Frank Lloyd Wright, the big American architect who had his renaissance between 70 and 90. Lord Foster's really putting it out there for the 90-year-olds. But this is great because we're going to have one memorial of the Queen on horseback, and we know how much she loved her horses. We're going to have this lovely statue of her and Prince... What was his name? Prince... Philip. Of course it was, Prince Philip. And they're in their sort of wartime attire.
And where are they going to build this? Where are they going to erect this? It's going to be
in St James's Park, which is, you know, so accessible for everybody, so close to the Mall and to Westminster. It's going to be visible, her on horseback, it's going to be visible along the Mall. There's a lovely translucent bridge. That's going to be beautiful. I don't know how they're they're going to keep it clean, though. But there's one thing... Yeah, imagine.
I mean, it's all just like see-through.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
it's going to be beautiful, but someone's going to be out there cleaning that morning, noon, night.
Well,
there's one thing missing, Eamonn. There's one thing missing.
Self-cleaning glass.
What's missing? Corgis.
I'm not sure how self-cleaning glass works, but I think...
Neither do I. But I know they make it in Warrington, for instance, but Pilkington...
They might need to look into it with this bridge.
We will see, but Anna and I were talking in the green room. It's 3 years since the Queen died.
I can't...
I have to say, I'm still jarred, no disrespect to the King, when I hear King's Council and, God save the King. What are they talking about? Because she was with us for so long, but I think, this kind of memorial is fitting.
Did you ever meet her?
Yeah, a number of times.
Oh, wow. How do you find her?
Oh, incredibly good. So my biggest memory was when we were running for the Olympics and the Olympic Committee were visiting, and I'd done the lobbying within the Foreign Office, and there was this dinner at the Palace, and she was just schmoozing every member of the Olympic Committee and doing it really effectively. And I'm not sure I should say this as well, but when you're talking to her, and I'm a fairly tall guy, she was so short.
Yes. And this is phenomenal value, between 23 million and 46 million pounds. It's less than a pound per person.
Yeah.
Thanks, Hannah. Thank you very much, Bill. Thank you. Here's your weather update. The guys will be back in about 40 minutes.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a grey start out there for most of us. A lot of rain around, but it does tend to ease later. It turns more showery. In some places it will brighten up. Some bright weather there for parts of the southeast and the far north of Scotland first thing. Otherwise extensive cloud, a keen breeze coming from the southwest, and we've got these outbreaks of rain affecting much of Scotland, northwest England, Wales and Northern Ireland. The rain turns to showers by the afternoon, and there will be some brighter interludes, particularly through parts of Wales into the Midlands, East Anglia, and where we get some sunshine. 25 Celsius in the southeast. It's starting to feel more humid again, but staying cool further north. Then we go into Tuesday night, and it's going to stay warm and humid in the south, but cooler across Scotland and Northern Ireland. Still some showers around during the evening. They're not going to be particularly heavy. They'll move through reasonably quickly. Northern Ireland just seeing a few spots of rain here and there, but still a lot of cloud in the sky. Likewise for Northern England into North Wales. Here we've got our old weather front that's just lingering and bringing outbreaks of more persistent rain, particularly over western hills. But clear spells there for parts of the Midlands and the southeast. Despite the clear spells, we have got higher humidities in the south, so some mist and murk around coasts of southern and western UK, and we are going to see another relatively muggy night, I think, in places, particularly towards the south, 16, 17 Celsius, fresher further north, 11 to 12 for parts of Scotland. Now, we begin Wednesday with a lot of cloud once again, but still some brightness across the south and southeast. Northeast Scotland as well, seeing some glimmers of sunshine. We keep the cloudy zone through the Midlands and parts of Wales, some dribs and drabs of rain, but actually for many it turns out to be a drier and brighter day compared with Tuesday. Sunny spells and just a few showers in the north, and feeling much warmer, 27, 28 Celsius in the southeast.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. 2 lanes are restricted eastbound on the M4 due to maintenance causing congestion from junction 30 Cardiff Gate to junction 32 Corryton. In York, an A64 westbound breakdown between the A1237 York North and the A166 causes delays with 1 lane closed. On the M25 anti-clockwise between junctions 26 and 25, a breakdown closes 1 of 4 lanes causing slow traffic. And on the trains, East Midlands railway disruptions occur at Manchester-Oxford Road and Greater Anglia between Colchester and Clacton-on-Sea. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
£54,321 in totally tax-free cash could make your year the best yet. How would you react if you got that winning call?
Oh my God, I'm going to cry. Oh my God. Thank you.
You weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Hello there, you're very welcome. Donald Trump this morning has said a ceasefire is in effect in the Middle East as he urged both Israel and Iran not to violate it. Are we stepping away from the brink following days of global uncertainty?
Well, President Trump's announcement last night was somewhat overshadowed as reports came in that missiles continue to be fired from both sides, with 3 people killed in southern Israel.
All of this coming as the American president prepares for a NATO summit in the Netherlands. Member states, including the UK, are expected to agree to spend 5% of GDP on defence over 10 years.
Sir Keir Starmer faces a mega rebellion from 100 MPs over proposed welfare cuts. Could this be the beginning of the end for the Prime Minister?
Yes, is this a consequence of the Prime Minister's actually quite slim majority across those seats he won last year? His legislative agenda on the ropes, more to come.
Venice is protesting about Jeff Bezos's extraordinary wedding plans. We're asking, have weddings become too extravagant? Ellie will have an opinion.
Yes, they've got really out of hand.
Just going to be a quiet little affair, isn't it?
Really intimate.
After eating rabbit pie, something I'll explain later, England need 350 runs to beat India on the last day of a thrilling first test at Headingley. Crystal Palace look fine now to play in Europe as New York Jets owner Woody Johnson buys a 43% stake in them. And could Tommy Fleetwood's loss be Europe's Ryder Cup gain?
A lot of cloud and some outbreaks of rain out there this morning, but it is going to dry up and brighten up in places, and in some areas it will warm up too. Full details in the forecast coming up soon.
On this Tuesday morning, you're very welcome to the programme, whether you're watching or listening. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast. Well, let's start now with the Shadow Foreign Secretary, Priti Patel. Really good to have you with us on the programme.
Good morning.
Let's start by talking about this apparent ceasefire that's been brokered by President Trump. Do you believe that there will be a ceasefire, and do you think it will hold?
Well, first of all, look, we welcome the ceasefire, but you've just asked the most important question. Will it hold? And the onus has to be now on Iran to stop firing missiles and to actually come to the table. We don't know if it will hold. It's only been announced in the last few hours. And of course, we want all parties to come to the table in the right way, in the proper way, as President Trump has outlined. And we all want to see peace in this part of the Middle East.
That, Shadow Foreign Secretary. One suggestion is you've got to simply topple the Ayatollahs, and if you don't do that, we're going nowhere.
Well, I think first of all, Eamonn, we should be crystal clear about this. Iran should not ever have a nuclear weapon, and this conflict has all been about degrading Iran's nuclear capabilities. And I'm going to emphasize that point for your viewers for good reasons, because Iran is an adversary to us and to our allies. They're a country that chant death to America. They want to see the only Jewish state in the world be eliminated, and they threaten us in our own country. And I've seen that in my former role as Home Secretary, and we saw that recently with the arrest of a number of Iranian dissidents on the streets of London. And let's not forget the real present danger they pose to us. I think the real challenge right now still, though, is we've seen these incredible strikes over the weekend against Fordow, which is the big Iranian nuclear facility in Iran, right in the mountains. So they've clearly had a lot to hide. And we've had a government here that can't even be honest with the British public to say whether or not they supported America's degrading of Iranian nuclear capability and their threat to the United Kingdom.
I'm glad that you mentioned the Iranian activity in the UK, because Jonathan Reynolds was speaking about this a few days ago, describing it as already substantial. He says it's naive to think that it won't escalate. There are fears that Britain and other allies could face a terror backlash from supporters of Iran. How do we handle that? How do we ensure that British people are safe on our streets?
Well, I think there are a number of things, if I may say so. First of all, you need a British government who actually leverages its diplomatic clout in the world when it comes to standing alongside our allies. Currently, we have a government that has really frozen relationships with Israel, who is a natural ally of ours, and they spend more time just talking tough to the Israeli government rather than actually supporting a lot of the work that helps to keep our country safe. And by the way, we share a lot of security and intelligence materials between our two countries. The same applies to the United States of America. As I've said it again, the British government did not even come out to give a view as to whether or not they supported America's strikes on that Iranian nuclear facility. And that is not right. It is wrong. The British people need to know that. And in terms of protecting us on the streets here from Iran, well, you've got to degrade their nuclear capability and their ballistic missile capability, because it's the same ballistic missiles that they are supporting President Putin with his assaults on Ukraine. And that basically hurts us in Europe, and that hurts us here. And we've got Iranian dissidents in the United Kingdom working against our country and our people.
It's interesting, you've mentioned that a couple of times now, and your role as when you were Home Secretary. Can you give us any sort of detail what you're talking about there, just putting it into context for people? Because I think a lot of people watching and listening today will think, well, it's in the Middle East, it's in Iran, it's thousands of miles away from where we are. They're not going to affect us. But you think they could affect us?
They are affecting us. They're affecting us every single day in this country. That's why we have threat levels in our country as well. That's why we invest in our policing, our intelligence, our security apparatus, our counter-terrorism police. I was there every single day for over 3 years as Home Secretary. My sole mission was to keep our country safe. We have Iranian spies in our country. Let me say that again. We have Iranian spies in our country, Iranian dissidents in our country. They've been active and they've been undermining our national interests. And that's what I'm speaking about. Yes, it is about the nuclear facilities in Iran. They must never have a nuclear weapon. Yes, it is about their ballistic missiles. Obviously, they've been stockpiling them. They've been hurting European countries, countries on European soil, such as Ukraine, and they've been operating in our country. That's why we need a government that is going to invest in our defence and security and actually make sure that we are kept safe, yes, abroad, when it comes to our bases and British nationals abroad, but also here in this country.
Well, the Prime Minister knows all of this. Why is he being so quiet, do you think? I mean, obviously, you're very critical of his position, where he just doesn't seem to be expressing a position on where we stand with Iran and if we support America or not.
Well, I think, first of all, you can't have a Prime Minister and a government that sits on the fence or hides behind legal advice that they claimed was leaked last week, and some of it was published in a national newspaper. That is not standing up for Britain's place in the world at all. It's also not standing alongside our greatest ally in the world, which is the United States of America. America helps to keep us safe, and yet there is such a degree of indifference. The fact that the government cannot even be honest and give a position to your viewers, Eamonn, as to whether or not they supported those strikes at the weekend is astonishing. That's a question that you will have to put to the government as to why are they hiding, and why can't they be truthful and honest to the British people, and why did they not stand by our strongest and greatest ally, which is the United States of America?
Can I ask you about defence spending and the NATO summit later on today? Sir Keir Starmer is going to pledge 5% of GDP to be spent on defence by 2035. What's your response to that?
Well, I think, first of all, it's yet another unfunded spending commitment from the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. If he cared about our defence, he would actually be investing that money today. This is unfunded, just like their Strategic Defence Review, which was published last month. It fell apart because it was unfunded. Just in the same way in which procurement in the MOD has been frozen, currently these things are totally unfunded. So to go to the NATO meeting and give a commitment saying that they're going to back 5% without putting any money on the table, quite frankly, is shameful. It's an embarrassment. And it's shameful when we have people in our armed forces every single day. This is Armed Forces Week. They're out there every day in bases around the world, in bases in the Middle East, in bases in Qatar, Bahrain, the Middle East, you name it, and they're not prepared to put funding on the table. I think is just extraordinary. The government must be held to account for this.
So when you say they're not prepared to put funding on the table, I mean, Ellie's just quoted, you know, they say 5% over the next 10 years. Is it enough? Is it in the right areas? Do you actually believe it's a truthful, honest, upfront 5%, or is it all smoke and mirrors?
It's smoke and mirrors, Eamonn. First of all, it's smoke and mirrors. There's no funding on the table. If the government were serious about this, and I have to say credible and responsible, they would publish how they would fund that, and they simply have not done that. So, you know, you cannot say that they are putting this money in. It's a spending commitment. And 10 years. Well, we heard President Zelensky just yesterday when he was in London. President Zelensky basically said that 10 years is too long. Look at the war that we have taking place in Europe right now with Ukraine. The geopolitics of this world is changing dramatically. This money needs to come now. It needs to come today in terms of investment. And we are not seeing that from this government.
OK. Shadow Foreign Secretary, appreciate your time, appreciate your comments today. We'll ask folk if you agree with what Priti Patel has had to say today, or disagree. If there's a point you'd like to make, have your say. That's how you get in touch. Shadow Foreign Secretary, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eamonn. Thank you.
Now, President Donald Trump has revealed that a ceasefire between Israel and Iran is now in full effect and has asked both countries not to violate it.
Well, Iranian missiles were launched towards Israel up until the ceasefire came into effect. Explosions heard from Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, where 9 people were killed overnight.
Well, Israeli military have said they attacked missile launches in Iran, but President Trump believes that the peace will now last forever.
Right. Mark White, our Home and Security editor. Peace will last forever, Mark. That's some claim.
Yes, well, only time will tell on that one, of course, but we often see this before a ceasefire with both sides aiming to get those final blows in, and overnight we're told that Israel killed another nuclear scientist in Iran. Both sides exchanged fire. We're told that 9 people died in attacks in Iran, and I think it was 4 last count have died overnight or early this morning in strikes in Beersheba in southern Israel. That strike demolished an apartment block there. I don't think we are going to see a retaliatory strike from Israel on Iran for that, because Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said this morning that he agrees to the terms of Donald Trump's ceasefire, that he believes that Israel has achieved its its goals. As you're looking now at these live pictures of Beersheba, you can see actually the destruction of that apartment complex. Now, normally that would elicit a very significant response from Israel, but if you go by what Benjamin Netanyahu has said in his statement, he is willing to abide by the ceasefire agreement that Donald Trump has proposed. And Iran, again, you know, it's always couched in bellicose language from Iran, but it seems that they are also willing to stick by that ceasefire for the moment. From Iran's point of view, I think they have, you know, certainly had a tremendous pummeling over the last 12 days. So from their point of view, a respite, an end to the fighting, for now at least, will certainly be welcomed by the people of Iran. We are told by the Israeli government that having gone after the nuclear complexes in Natanz, in Isfahan and in Fordow, that program has been effectively obliterated. So we wait to see how this holds. These are fragile moments after any ceasefire comes into place, but hopeful at least. Last night, when we saw the attack on the US base, it looked very ominous indeed until we got the word actually from the US and later put out in a Truth Social posting by Donald Trump that actually the Iranians had alerted the US and its allies to the fact it was going to strike this base hours in advance, gave them plenty time to prepare and evacuate. And in fact, Donald Trump, in true trolling style on the internet, thanked him very much for that.
Indeed. Mark, thanks very much indeed for your update and your analysis. Appreciate that. We move on. We look at domestic politics now. Sir Keir Starmer's facing another headache as he has a mega rebellion of 100 MPs. Now, this is over welfare cuts.
Well, this puts more pressure on Number 10 after Vicky Foxcroft's resignation last week.
Now, could this be the beginning of the end for the Prime Minister? Well, let's now go to our reporter, Adam Cherry, and he'll sort of reflect the mood that he's feeling at Westminster. Adam.
Morning, guys. Yeah, I think it's about 108 MPs who have signed that amendment now. And the question, why is this happening? I think there are a couple of answers. In my little tease at the start of the programme, I said that the Prime Minister has a slim majority. Well, you might listen to that and think, hold on, it's 165, it's a massive landslide. Well, yes, but actually a lot of those MPs in their constituencies won by a very small amount, sometimes just a couple of thousand votes, sometimes even less than that. So they're worried about their own seats more than they are about parliamentary discipline and towing the party line. You also have the issue of so many U-turns already. That's weakened discipline. And so those combined mean that actually the government is struggling to get a grip on its own parliamentary party, despite on paper having this huge majority. Actually, another problem with that is that because there are so many of them worry about the fact that they might not get promoted. So why bother being a good soldier? Now, what does it mean in the next sort of week or so? Why is this happening now? Well, they've tabled a reasoned amendment, which means, in simple terms, a parliamentary mechanism where they sign, they say that they give a particular reason why they're opposing a bill. The Speaker of the House, Lindsay Hoyle, has to actually accept it. If he does, then they have to vote on that and potentially strike that entire bill down. Now, it's only £5 billion by about 2030 that this welfare change is supposed to say, which to the Treasury is not a huge amount of money. But if they can't even get that through, it just shows how weak the government really is on passing its domestic agenda. Is it the end for the Prime Minister? Well, no, he's not even a year in yet, but it certainly damages him and makes it much more difficult for him to make serious changes to a swelling welfare bill in the next few years.
OK, Adam, appreciate that. Thank you very much indeed. We were going to go to the weather situation now, and it's a bit mixed, isn't it?
Is it? Well, you said it was raining on the way in.
Yeah.
I thought it was just going to be a glorious week, so you've upset me now.
It could well be now. We don't have any windows here, so we don't know. We can't see outside, but it certainly was raining when I came in today.
No.
What time did I come in? At 2:30 a.m. So it'll be something. Well, anyway, let's go and find out. Here's how it's looking.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a grey start out there for most of us. A lot of rain around, but it does tend to ease later. It turns more showery. In some places it will brighten up. Some bright weather there for parts of the southeast and the far north of Scotland first thing. Otherwise extensive cloud, a keen breeze coming from the southwest, and we've got these outbreaks of rain affecting much of Scotland, northwest England, Wales and Northern Ireland. The rain turns to showers by the afternoon and there will be some brighter interludes, particularly through parts of Wales into the Midlands, East Anglia, and where we get some sunshine, 25 Celsius in the southeast. It's starting to feel more humid again, but staying cool further north. Then we go into Tuesday night and it's going to stay warm and humid in the south, but cooler across Scotland and Northern Ireland. Still some showers around during the evening. They're not going to be particularly heavy. They'll move through reasonably quickly. Northern Ireland just seeing a few spots of rain here and there, but still a lot of cloud in the sky. Likewise for Northern England into North Wales. Here we've got our old weather front that's just lingering and bringing outbreaks of more persistent rain, particularly over western hills. But clear spells there for parts of the Midlands and the southeast. Despite the clear spells, we have got higher humidities in the south, so some mist and murk around coasts of southern and western UK, and we are going to see another relatively muggy night, I think, in places, particularly towards the south, 16, 17 Celsius, fresher further north, 11 to 12 for parts of Scotland. Now, we begin Wednesday with a lot of cloud once again, but still some brightness across the south and southeast. Northeast Scotland as well, seeing some glimmers of sunshine. We keep the cloudy zone through the Midlands and parts of Wales, some dribs and drabs of rain, but actually for many it turns out to be a drier and brighter day compared with Tuesday. Sunny spells and just a few showers in the north and feeling much warmer, 27, 28 Celsius in the southeast.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
And the big excitement continues. 54,321 quid. Yes, I kid you not, I lie not. This is our biggest cash prize to date in the Great British Giveaway.
It's tax-free as well. Here's Hayley Sparks with all the details.
This is your chance to enjoy luxury this summer. It's our biggest cash prize to date, an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. What would you do with that? With all of that cash, you could just chill out, treat yourself and indulge in the finer things in life. Somewhere like here, Downhall Hotel and Spa. You really could win the cash giveaway of the summer. Go on, treat yourself.
For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, in just 2 weeks' time, or just slightly over 2 weeks' time, the most extravagant wedding of the year will take place. That is Miss Ellie and her lovely Gerard. They're getting happily married. Very, very good. Well,
yes.
Do we let people know you're already married or not?
Oh, it's legally we're married, yeah, but we're going to do the big church wedding.
Yes.
We're going to walk down the aisle and exchange rings and all the good stuff in 2 weeks, yeah.
That's lovely.
But we're asking the question, have extravagant weddings, well, got a bit out of hand? And I can tell you for free that they have.
Well, indeed. I mean, you should know you're spending right, left and centre.
I am.
It has to be. But then doesn't everybody when they get involved with that? We're going to be debating that, how out of hand they have got, and is that the way it has to be? Next.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless, and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dawdley, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Yeah, so I got the news on 4th of April, right in between GB Team Selection Series, which hurt even more because I was leading in the points. But all of a sudden, I get a phone call being told you're banned from attending any Pal UK premises, banned from speaking with your teammates or staff, which was the most brutal part of it, and suspended, or whatever word you want to use.
I think, though, Kurt, that, posting subscription-only saucy content online might get you in a little bit of trouble, or did it not cross your mind?
No, for sure. But I want to make it clear that I have tried things in the past. I've been living life on the edge so many years. We moved from Latvia in 2010, been living life on the edge since then, done everything from working freelance long into the long nights, working at the Amazon warehouse. I have seeked out other alternatives, but in December last year, I got to a point of realization where I thought, is it worth it, or can I find an alternative? And I knew of other GB athletes doing it. I didn't think it was going to cause outrage like this.
Yeah, because I was thinking, a nice chap like you, who's obviously very talented with your sport, you could make some money doing, like online fitness training or personal training and things like that don't involve, getting your kit off.
No, for sure. I've been making content for like 6-7 years now. Over 1,000 of the pieces of content have been inspirational, motivational. I've visited over 30 schools in the UK, going to the hardest parts of the UK, inspiring kids from underprivileged backgrounds to get into sport. I've tried that, but I don't know. I found that in this day and age, unless you are smart or find some little controversial thing you can hold on to, it's going to be hard to get attention and sponsorship.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Right, here's what we're talking about now. We're talking about weddings and extravagance of them, and this is all because Jeff Bezos, what does he own? Amazon, right, he owns Amazon, and his bride-to-be, Lauren Sanchez, they are having not just a wedding in Venice, but a multi-day wedding.
3 days.
3 days.
Guess how many days I'm having?
How many?
3 days.
Are you?
Yeah. You know this, you got the invite.
But you still hasn't stopped this year. I mean, you've just gone on every day this year. There's something doing.
I know, it's got out of hand. These things do, I think. God. Anyway, in Venice, there's been local protests over tourism and concerns that the historic city is being sold to the highest bidders. They're not very happy about this very extravagant wedding that's taking place this week.
He's arrived in a yacht.
A very big yacht.
How much is it worth?
500 million.
Or
something.
My word, that's incredible. But have celebrity weddings, the question we're asking, got out of control, and has it all been swept away in pomp and pageantry? And have you ever been invited to one? There's a good question.
Yeah.
Joining us now to debate all of this, we say good morning to Linda Dewberry, journalist and commentator. Linda, good morning. And social commentator Annalise Caldwell.
Morning, ladies. Linda, let's start with you. Do you think that weddings have got out of control?
Oh, well, this one certainly has. I mean, Jeff Bezos may be the world's richest man, and this wedding, even though it's costing many, many millions of pounds, is a drop in the ocean to him. But I do worry about what kind of signal this sends. I mean, this wedding will have more private jets than those that attended the G7, the recent G7 in Canada. Apparently, Eurocontrol, that's the Euro Airspace Agency, and the Italian Space Agency have had to draw up special plans to accommodate the number of private jets that are flying into Venice. And yesterday, they actually had to do a dress rehearsal to make sure that operations went smoothly. Now, that is really incredible. And actually, I think that these big, you could call them dynastic weddings, as I said, are a signal to other people who might think think they somehow have to compete. I was looking at the list of the most expensive weddings in history. 2 are from Asian multi-billionaires, 2 are from the British royal family, and 1 is from the Spanish royal family. But I think Jeff Bezos is going to get the top slot.
Top slot, OK. Annalise, what do you make of it all?
I don't think anyone really is going to feel they have to compete with Jeff Bezos and his £370 million yacht. Obviously, you don't want people feeling pressured to have a wedding they don't want. But if they want an extravagant wedding, if they want to celebrate with their friends and spend money, and then that's up to them. I think the most important thing is, do they love each other? Do they want to spend the rest of their lives together? And if they both want an extravagant wedding and they want to work at that together and they want to spend the money that they've earned, then so be it. That is up to them. It is their choice. So long as they're together on it, so long as they're together on making their decisions, on how they want to do things, on who they want to invite, really that's not up to anybody else to judge.
Yes, I agree with you, Annalise. It only becomes a waste of time if and when they split, doesn't it? You know, if they do that, then you realise what a waste of money all that was.
Yes, but hopefully on your wedding day you're not thinking about your divorce. You know, I just think that if people want to have
Annalise, I bet you he's thinking of his divorce. I bet you he's got one of those, what are they called?
Prenups.
Prenups agreement, yeah.
I'm sure he has.
Yeah.
Well, you'd hope so with that much money, yeah. Linda, what do you make of that?
Well, look, I agree with a lot of what Annalise says. I mean, ultimately, marriage for most people is about love and commitment. And Ellie, by the way, I think getting married in church is exactly the right thing to do.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sure you're going to have a wonderful day. But the trajectory, although marriages are costing more because of an increase in the cost of living, the trajectory now is for people to spend less on their weddings proportionately. And I think that feeling is very strong amongst the millennials and Gen Z, who are seeking maybe to do more things more on a budget. They've come up with lots of different ideas to save money because actually, although no one thinks they're going to replicate Jeff Bezos, we all know that on social media, it has a great influence on people. And people do, I know, because I talk to my kids' friends, they do feel under pressure, particularly from their parents, to bring things up to a certain level. The average spend on a wedding these days, I don't know where you've gone with this, Ellie, is about £30,000. And that's a lot of money to come up with, really, for most people. So I think, you know, on the day, what matters is you exchange your vows, you make a promise to love each other in sickness and in health, for richer, for poorer. And at the time, of course, you believe that. My son got married last year, and I can only say it was one of the happiest days of my life. The only days that matched that were when my 3 children were born. And he spent a fifth of what is normally spent on a wedding. Everyone piled into Twickenham Town Hall, and then they piled into a pub on top of Richmond Hill. And it was absolutely wonderful. I wore an outfit from Zara, and I wore the jacket 2 nights later on GB News.
Oh, I love that. That's so nice. They're such happy occasions. It's love at the centre of it all. We need to remember that, don't we? Linda and Annalise, really good to talk to you both this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Hope you have a lovely day, Ellie.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Put you off.
Marriage?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I can't wait.
Wow.
We have spent a lot of money. I'm a bit stressed about it, but I've been working hard for 19 months. It's been a long engagement for a reason. So anyway,
okay,
we're almost there.
Yeah, we're almost there. Well, if you're heading somewhere and you're almost there, if you're listening to us on the radio, well, here's your traffic and travel update. And it's also on the telly. Here we go.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Drivers in York should be cautious as a broken down vehicle with a brake issue on the A64 westbound has closed 1 lane. Normal traffic conditions are anticipated by 8:45 this morning. In Greater London, the M25 anti-clockwise is experiencing a delay of 15 minutes due to a broken down vehicle, with normal traffic expected between 9 o'clock and 9:15 this morning. And on the trains, East Midlands Railway reports a disruption at Manchester-Oxford Road, while Greater Anglia faces issues between Colchester and Colchester Town, Clacton-on-Sea and Walton-on-the-Naze. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
And we're going to take a short break and we're going to be back. Mr. Paul, he'll have whatever sport he hasn't gone through so far today. Back with him after this.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
So Cody's just got a phone call from Westminster Council.
Yes.
To tell him that he's parked on a road that's going to be resurfaced. Now, this is a park here today, and so he's on air. And they phone and they say, are you parked in whatever street? And he says, yes, I am.
Yes.
And then they say, we're going to tarmac over the top of your car, basically.
Do you think that's what's going to happen? They just go up over the top?
Yeah.
How did they have your number?
I don't even know.
Oh, it's quite impressive, really.
And they were very nice. And I said, well, am I going to get a ticket? I said, well, I don't, you probably won't.
I just say, can you give me 2 minutes to move my car?
Yes, I said, look, I'm going to be really quick.
Just do a quick sport here.
That's the end of the sport. I've got to go. I've got to move the car. So it's how did they know? I don't really know.
And what are they going to do if you're not out to move it?
Well, we're about to find out, I think.
Oh, for goodness sake.
All the business.
I'm fed up with this whole London place. What's that other thing they do? But no,
at least they call.
Congestion.
I mean, congestion charge. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I changed my number plate on my car, right?
Oh, did you?
I like your number plate. Why did you change it?
You don't know about what I've changed it to.
All right, well, tell me in a bit.
OK. So anyway, I've changed the number plate in the car, and you write to them and you tell them, because obviously you're exempt from all the pollution charges and whatever,
Sure.
As you were before. And of course, they don't take this under account. So they take the new number plate,
right,
which hasn't been registered in that way, and then they just hit me with bills. So you phone them, you write to them, you say, no, you agreed, that's okay. It's okay for me to change the car number plate, whatever. And they go, yes, of course it is. More bills, £100 a time, £100 a time.
Different person on the end of the line next time, and you have to explain the whole thing again. Right?
Oh, no, you're just going to send a form in. No, you can't speak to me. I can't do that. Because what a waste of blooming time.
Oh, dear.
And they give him a knighthood for that. Ali Khan, or what's his name?
Oh, Sadiq Khan. I thought you meant the person that was dealing with your number plate. Why are they dealing with number plates? You phoned Sadiq Khan about your number plate?
Should have. Anyway, what have you got?
Well, cricket.
Talk about cricket.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
First test, we had Sir Andrew Strauss, who I thought was great.
He was a nice man.
He was very nice and a legend. First test against India, finely poised. A hell of a final day ahead of us. England require 350 runs to win. That's it. No wickets gone yet. They go in about 10:30. Let's just hope they score that. And it's playing at Headingley, which strangely has a history of run chases. So
where
they're
is
going to have to
Headingley?
break a record.
Is Headingley in Yorkshire?
Yeah, Leeds. Yeah,
Oh,
Headingley in
right.
Leeds.
Yeah.
So that's where they're going to play. £20 a ticket. I don't know whether tickets are available. I hope they are, because nobody expects that these tests are going to go 5 days. So nobody ever buys tickets for the 5th day, whereas now the 5th day, that's the day to be at. So 20 quid for a ticket to Headingley today.
It's good value.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Have some of that. Tommy Fleetwood. Now, we mentioned Tommy Fleetwood, and it was at Travellers' Championship over the weekend. He was a couple of shots in front, wasn't he? And then blew it. And then Keegan Bradley, who is the American captain for the Ryder Cup team, actually won this championship, which is interesting because being the captain of the Ryder Cup team, what don't do, Eamonn, when they're the captain usually, is play.
Is that right?
Yeah. You usually have non-playing captains. So the captain of the Ryder Cup team never plays in the match. But they're everywhere.
Yes. I mean, like Tony Jacklin or whatever.
Because they've got their earpiece in,
Yeah.
what's going on over at 16th, and they go along in their buggy.
But does that mean the captain can play?
They can play, but they choose the team. So the thing is, Keegan Bradley may well choose himself to play. But you wouldn't do that, would you? I mean, it's a bit of a I think I'm good enough, I'll play myself. But it may not work out because he won't be able to captain the side properly, but he thinks he's playing so well at the moment, he should be playing as well as captaining.
Well, fair enough.
That hopefully will play into our hands. Have a look at this putt. This is Tommy Fleetwood's putt. Now, this is the one that he needed to hole to actually manage to at least get to a playoff. And we've noticed a wobble on the putt. Now, have a look at this. Now, watch carefully. Watch the ball.
Yeah.
Looks simple. Did you see that move?
Yeah.
Watch it again. Very good. Look, it hits.
It's bumpy, that ground.
Look, there it goes. You see that?
Oh, it is bumpy.
Yeah.
Nobody seemed to notice.
I wonder would that be grit or a snail or something?
Do you reckon it's something under there? Look at it. It goes again.
Look. Oh, that's a lot.
Otherwise,
that looked like it was going to be straightforward.
It should have been, and that's what. There it comes again. For those on the radio, imagine the ball hits a little bump. It's supposed to be beautiful, true greens. And they're at the Travellers' Championship. Obviously, something wrong there. Not very good.
No, not very good.
Not very good.
Like that. But, talking about Mr. Fleetwood there, Mick Fleetwood Mac.
Yes.
It's his birthday today.
I heard that.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think I know how old he is.
How?
Or do I? Actually, I don't. 79?
He's 78.
78.
Oh, you were close. That was good.
Shall we play birthdays then? I've got some for you.
OK, right. Go on.
OK, let's start with... How about the greatest footballer of the world, probably at the moment? Lionel Messi.
No, he's not the greatest footballer. That's a stupid thing to say.
It's not a stupid... Why is that?
Cristiano Ronaldo is by far, in every department, the greatest footballer the world has ever seen.
No, this guy is...
No, you're completely wrong. You're just making yourself seem stupid now.
Right. Yeah. Well, look at him. He's a fantastic... He can't do what Lionel Messi...
Can I
but he's quite old.
He's a Lionel as well.
He's...
Like our friend Lionel Richie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Lionel Richie calls himself Lionel.
Like Lionel Messi?
You like Lionel Messi?
He's quite old for a player.
He is quite old, but because he's such a good player...
36.
I think he's...
You're going to be right, Eamonn. I know you're going to be right.
Well, I think he's a bit more.
I think you are going to be right.
I would put him at least 37, and he might even be 38.
One of those is correct. Which one is it, my friend?
38.
Correct.
Ah, that was good.
You were going to get that.
I was close as well.
He's quite old, isn't he?
He is quite old.
So for the oldest player in the world, he's quite good.
He's not bad, is he?
He's not.
He's
not better than Cristiano.
He is.
He's not.
He is. I'm telling you,
Right.
he is.
Move on.
Stuart Broad.
Cricketer.
Fast bowler. He's retired now. Does the commentary.
34.
How old is Stuart Broad? 34. Well, he's retired, so go a little older.
42.
42.
9.
Is the right answer.
Yes.
39 is the right answer.
Well done.
I have two more for you. Micah Richards, former Manchester City.
He had to retire early.
Yeah, this is a tricky one.
I don't think he's as old as you might think he is.
You don't know how old I think he is.
I think he's... What do you keep looking at him for answers for?
Because sometimes I can tell by his eyes.
That's difficult. I don't think he's as old as I'm sort of going to go for.
Go on.
I think he's only something like 38.
Do you? OK.
Yeah. I might be wrong.
41.
37.
Ah.
Is he?
He's only 37.
Yeah.
This is the last one. Last one I have for you. This is a hell of a game.
Oh, look at that.
It's not Virginia Wade on the left-hand side.
And is that Billie Jean beside her?
No, that's Betty Stover.
Oh.
Now, the 1977 Wimbledon final, the last time a British woman won the title, Virginia Wade, in the Jubilee year, and she played Dutch player Betty Stover.
I remember. So
Betty Stover?
So who are we asking?
We're asking Betty Stover. How old do you reckon Betty Stover
I know
is?
Virginia Wade. I don't know anything about Betty Stover.
Well, do you know what? It's Betty Stover's, but it's not Virginia Wade's birthday, so it doesn't matter.
77.
Betty Stover. It's a good guess. Betty, you're in the ballpark.
You're in the ballpark.
I wonder if that knee recover. I bet that knee's bad these days.
I would say when I was a kid, so I'd have been watching that. I'd have been about 14. They'd have been 10 years older than me at least.
Sure.
So I'd say 78.
She's 80 today.
Is she?
Betty Stover is 80.
I liked you working out, though.
Since then. Happy birthday, Betty.
Happy birthday, Betty. Thanks, Coity.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Hey, we've got a programme to do. You've got to get out there. Your car's going to be tarmacked.
Oh, yeah,
I've already got tarmac all over it.
Do all that. Do that. Right. So here's the forecast for some of the sun in European destinations.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
If you or someone you know is heading further afield over the next few days, you can expect widespread sunshine across the Mediterranean, and it's going to be breezy for Greece. The usual seasonal wind blowing through the Greek islands as a result of heat building over Turkey. The heat builds over Italy and the Balearics during the next few days. We're going to see unusually high temperatures during Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and it's mostly fine across Iberia and into the Canary Islands, but you can see the temperature rise in Italy there up to the mid to high 30s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
You up to date with some breaking news we're receiving. Israeli military says it has identified missiles launched from Iran towards
Israel.
Yeah, anyway, thank you for interpreting that one right. So, all right, so this is a violation of any ceasefire that they said there was. And so President Trump, of course, said that ceasefire would last forever.
Oh, we're going to have more on that with our security editor, Mark White, after this short break.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored. Very, very easy tonight on the unpredictable. What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Now imagine this. You spend your entire life dreaming of public service.
You work your way up to become the Director of Public Prosecutions. You then become a Member of Parliament, and just next to your constituency is a world-famous museum hosting
I'm imagining it, Tom.
waxworks of famous figures, and you think, you dream that one day you will be featured in this mausoleum, for want of a better word. You become Prime Minister, and you think, now, finally, my waxwork will be on display at the world-famous Madame Tussauds. And then they say no.
And then you find out that Theresa May has one.
Oh.
Yes, so Madame Tussauds... There's Theresa May. There she is in her suit.
Yeah,
she was always one for colourful outfits,
Theresa May has a waxwork there, so does Boris Johnson, of course. It's reasonable to expect the Prime Minister would have thought that he would join the likes of David Cameron, Theresa May and Boris Johnson with a waxwork.
Winston Churchill. Yeah. Winston Churchill has one. Harold Macmillan, apparently, was previously displayed. Tony Blair.
Of course.
Tony Blair, of course. But apparently, so Madame Tussauds can't be sure that he'll still be relevant in 5 years' time. That's the reason.
Is that why they've said it? No.
They can't be sure, so they don't want to put the money into it, presumably.
Wow.
I could imagine Keir Starmer commissioning his own.
And yet, Lord Salisbury had a waxwork, the Marquis of Salisbury, Harold Macmillan, and David Lloyd George, of course. But the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland...
Think about this.
...does not have a waxwork because he's not relevant.
A spokesperson told the Metro, "We have no current plans to make a figure of the British Prime Minister."
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our viewers and listeners. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Now, we were talking about things in the garden there and how Ellie has this knack of killing plants and whatever. And how have you revived your plants?
They come back to life. Do you remember a few weeks ago I was talking about my orchids that died? Yeah. So I asked the GB News viewers how I'd bring them back to life, and it's worked.
It's worked?
Yeah, so you put one ice cube into your orchid once a week. It brings it back to life.
There you are.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder do the GB News viewers and listeners know about what's venomous in their garden, Anna? This is listed in the papers today. What is now going to be classified as venomous?
Yeah, I mean, this is the most ridiculous story. A scientist has decided that garden snails are venomous because they do excrete some chemical which is part of their mating regime, which manipulates one another in some reproductive way.
But does it kill them then if it's venomous?
No, it just manipulates them. And so they're reclassifying the word venomous to mean where a substance manipulates behaviour.
What a lot of nonsense.
But what's more venomous? What's the worst thing in our garden when it comes to slugs and snails are the pellets that people put down, which kill our dogs. And
do they?
Yes. Oh, gosh, really toxic.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Do dogs lick these or eat them?
Yeah, and they're really toxic for dogs. Slug pellets and snail pellets.
Thanks for telling us that. Thanks for telling us that.
That's my tip for GB. But GB viewers will know this already. They're very intelligent.
That's Anna Firth. Bill Rammell here as well. Bill, we've been talking earlier in the programme about classifying smartphones in the classroom or perhaps banning them in certain schools. What's the story on this one?
It's Australia, and I mean, I do think smartphones for young people are one of those things, if you could uninvent it, you would. The damage in terms of depression, anxiety, lack of attention. As an adult, I know I'm addicted to my phone, and I don't think it's good. And the Australians are going to ban it for all under 16-year-olds.
But, Bill, do you know what part of your phone you're addicted to? I mean, the only way I would say that, not texts, not phone calls, not emails.
Yours is Instagram.
Instagram, probably. But then I know I'll look at it for half an hour when I'm in bed at night or whatever, and then I'll see this ridiculous and I'll cut it off. Do you know what area gets you?
I think it's news feeds.
News things.
So, you know...
That's good. That's work.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it is, but it's still not healthy if you're doing it, you know, 5 or 6 times of an evening, as my wife tells me. But the interesting thing about Australia is the enforceability. So my understanding is they're going to use face technology to determine whether you're under or over 16. is that going to work? But if it does work, I think it's a real test bed, and I think we should get on board.
OK. Now, Anna, let's look at this one. Maternity services. I was really shocked seeing the reports on this yesterday, how bad they were and how failing they were within England.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm really pleased that Wes Streeting is going to do something about it, but we don't need another inquiry into maternity deaths. There was a massive inquiry done in 2022 into the scandal around Shrewsbury and Telford NHS, which found that 200 babies and 9 mothers had needlessly died. Then 2 brilliant MPs, Rosie Duffield and Theo Clarke, got together and did a cross-party maternity investigation last year in Parliament with Donna Ockenden. We've got those findings. We know what's needed. It's more midwives, it's more training for midwives, it's more staff in maternity units. Let's put the money into actually getting things done, not more talking shops.
And better facilities as well, because I mean, as part of all of this, it's the buildings that are crumbling, and not fit for purpose.
The biggest scandal, Ellie, is that of the NHS budget, which was £215 billion last year, guess how much was going on litigation regarding maternity deaths? 70 billion, a third. Imagine if that was all going into more nurses, more equipment, more buildings. We've got to sort this one.
Talking about where people are going to, Britons are going to cold countries. You've got 45 seconds, Bill, to tell me about this one.
I think this is a silly season story.
It is.
I mean, people book their summer holidays way in advance. I just don't believe they're suddenly picking...
I don't believe it either.
Cold destinations.
So they're saying that we're going to Scandinavia and whatever because we don't like the heat.
Well, my wife's Swedish, and I see what Swedish summers can be very, very hot. So I don't think that's true, but I do think it underlines Britain is not made for high temperatures. I mean, I lived and worked in Iraqi Kurdistan for 18 months, where it regularly gets to 50 degrees, but it was manageable because it was a dry heat. It's not a dry heat in this country, and that's the problem.
Yeah, and our buildings aren't built for it either, are they? Bill and Anna, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have yourselves a good day, wherever you're in the heat or not. And on that subject, the weather, let's have a look.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a grey start out there for most of us. A lot of rain around, but it does tend to ease later. It turns more showery. In some places it will brighten up. Some bright weather there for parts of the southeast and the far north of Scotland first thing. Otherwise extensive cloud, a keen breeze coming from the southwest, and we've got these outbreaks of rain affecting much of Scotland, northwest England, Wales and Northern Ireland. The rain turns to showers by the afternoon, and there will be some brighter interludes, particularly through parts of Wales into the Midlands, East Anglia, and where we get some sunshine. 25 Celsius in the southeast. It's starting to feel more humid again, but staying cool further north. Then we go into Tuesday night, and it's going to stay warm and humid in the south, but cooler across Scotland and Northern Ireland. Still some showers around during the evening. They're not going to be particularly heavy. They'll move through reasonably quickly. Northern Ireland just seeing a few spots of rain here and there, but still a lot of cloud in the sky. Likewise for Northern England into North Wales. Here we've got our old weather front that's just lingering and bringing outbreaks of more persistent rain, particularly over western hills. But clear spells there for parts of the Midlands and the southeast. Despite the clear spells, we have got higher humidities in the south, so some mist and murk around coasts of southern and western UK, and we are going to see another relatively muggy night, I think, in places, particularly towards the south, 16, 17 Celsius, fresher further north, 11 to 12 for parts of Scotland. Now, we begin Wednesday with a lot of cloud once again, but still some brightness across the south and southeast. Northeast Scotland as well, seeing some glimmers of sunshine. We keep the cloudy zone through the Midlands and parts of Wales, some dribs and drabs of rain, but actually for many it turns out to be a drier and brighter day compared with Tuesday. Sunny spells and just a few showers in the north, and feeling much warmer, 27, 28 Celsius in the southeast.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report. Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Maintenance continues on the M4 between junctions 30 Cardiff Gate and 32 Corryton, closing roads from 8 tonight till 6 tomorrow morning. In Derbyshire, the M1 southbound is disrupted by a broken down vehicle between junctions 29 and 28, closing one lane and causing delays. On the A14 eastbound in Suffolk, traffic congestion between junctions 54 Ipswich West and 56 Ipswich Docks extends travel time by an hour and a half. And on the trains, East Midlands Railway is delayed at Manchester-Oxford Road. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
We're kick-starting summer with your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news reports are coming in that Iran has broken the ceasefire agreement with Israel only hours after it was announced. In response, Israel has said their military will respond forcefully to the violation with high-intensity strikes in the heart of the capital, Tehran. We'll have the latest on this breaking story with our security editor, Mark White.
Also asking what that means. The Prime Minister faces a mega rebellion from 104 MPs over proposed welfare cuts. Could this be the beginning of the end for him?
A lot of cloud and some outbreaks of rain out there this morning, but it is going to dry up and brighten up in places, and in some areas it will warm up too. Full details in the forecast coming up soon.
Hello there, wherever you're watching, however you're listening. Nice to have you on board. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Let's talk about this ceasefire breach. First of all, Israeli military says it has identified missiles launched from Iran towards Israel and what appears to be a violation of this ceasefire. The defence minister has said he has instructed the military to respond forcefully to this violation, so that from Israel.
It comes just a few hours after the agreement between the two countries came into effect, with President Trump asking for the ceasefire not to be violated. He also said this was peace that was going to last forever. We're now joined by Home Security Editor Mark White. And what do we understand has happened here, Mark?
Well, we understand that one ballistic missile was launched from Iran towards northern Israel. It was taken out by an interceptor with no damage, we're told, or injuries on the ground. But still, it's a ballistic missile, one or none. You know, if none were launched, fine, we're in the ceasefire. You launch a ballistic missile, one or a dozen, it's a breach of that ceasefire. And we've seen that response, of course, already from the Israeli Defence Minister saying that he has given the go-ahead for a retaliatory strike now on Iran, a significant strike in the heart of Iran, he said.
But you see, you've just said significant strike, and I totally get that, totally understand that. But if I was going to violate a ceasefire, why would I bother with one missile? You know, you sort of think, if you're going to do it, do it.
Well, this is why it's very confusing. You know, was it a rogue general? We don't know. I mean, you know, was it symbolic? It seems odd that there would be a symbolic missile strike, just a last sort of salvo over, given that both sides have now seemingly accepted the ceasefire, and we were in that period. We had the intense bombardment overnight where there were deaths both in Iran and deaths in Israel, in Beersheba, in southern Israel, where an apartment block suffered a direct strike there, and you can see the images of the intense damage there. But that seemed to be it. We weren't expecting, even though that was a very significant strike in Israel, that they would respond to that because they were going to agree to the ceasefire. But then hours later, now this ballistic missile coming over, and that's put it all in a real sort of place of uncertainty now, and some real danger that what we see is potentially a downward spiral again of tit-for-tat strikes. So let's see what the response is from Israel. As I say, the Defence Secretary in Israel has said that he has given the go-ahead for a significant strike. So when that happens, what Iran's response will be will dictate how we go on from here.
How long had the ceasefire held for? It was just a matter of hours, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was 5 a.m. local time in Israel that the last sort of salvos of missiles and strikes from both sides took place. So we're really talking 4 hours after that, and we've got a ballistic missile that's come over.
Gosh, it's not
Okay,
clear,
Mark,
is it?
appreciate it. Thanks very much indeed. Keir Starmer's facing another headache. He's facing a mega rebellion of 104 MPs over welfare cuts.
Well, this puts more pressure on Number 10 after Vicky Foxcroft's resignation last week.
So could this be the beginning of the end for the PM? Let's go to Adam Cherry. What do you think, Adam?
Beginning of the end, it's probably a little bit premature to say that. He hasn't been in office yet for even a year, but it certainly damages his legislative agenda and proves that his MPs, despite being a group of a massive majority of 165, are in no mood to toe the party line. Now, why are they so willing to rebel so early, particularly given that we understand at least half of the signatories on this amendment are the new intake? Well, one is that in their own constituencies, they have very slim majorities and they're worried about passing unpopular legislation with their own constituents and therefore damaging their own prospects in 4 or 5 years' time. Another is also that the number of U-turns already means that they can see they're weak, so if they've already U-turned, the government has already U-turned previously, why not force them to do so again? This is only supposed to save £5 billion by 2030, this welfare bill adjustment, which tinkers with the rules on personal independence payments. $5 billion is not a lot to the Treasury. Sounds a lot like a lot to you or I, but if they can't even push this through, if the government cannot even get this relatively minor adjustment to a massive welfare bill, welfare spending commitment, then how can they get anything more significant through? It is very telling that this is happening so early in the Premiership. And of course, like I said, it seriously damages the Prime Minister's credibility. Why is he not even able to discipline his MPs this early? It remains to be seen whether this amendment will be tabled, whether it will be accepted by the Speaker of the House, Lindsay Hoyle. And we also don't know if the opposition parties will strike this down. Kemi Badenoch and the Shadow Cabinet are discussing this today. Do they support the government or not? If they oppose it and they join the rebels, then this could be voted down and the entire welfare bill is undermined completely and it will not pass. It is blocked, it is rejected.
Thank you very much indeed. 6 minutes now past 9 o'clock on this Tuesday morning. I just saw that story, quite a sad story in the papers today about the newscaster Dermot Murnaghan. Dermot, who I've worked with at ITV and at Sky News, but he's got stage 4 prostate cancer, which he has announced. It's been well controlled, and these days it has advanced so much where there used to be no coming back from a stage 4. It's not that there is coming back, but it doesn't necessarily kill you, which is a good situation. And Dermot, we wish you all the best. He's a very keen sportsman, very keen cyclist, very fit sort of guy. So what I'd like to say, all the best, mate, and keep strong, keep well.
Yeah, and very brave of him as well to come out so publicly and talk about this and talk about the support. He's got a family that have been with him through all of this, and he's saying, I'll stay positive. As you say, that I think the diagnosis has changed a lot in recent years, and we wish him well.
Great British giveaway, 54,321 quid.
Yeah.
And it could come your way.
Yeah, tax-free as well. Here's Hayley Sparks with all of the details.
We're here at Down Hall in Essex to enjoy the finer things in life, and it's your chance to win £54,321 in cash. It's like having an extra £1,000 in your bank account each week for a whole year, which means that you'd be able to indulge in treats whenever you wanted to. That extra cash each week could send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing this year to enable you to sit back, relax and do nothing. Make sure you don't miss out on our biggest cash giveaway to date.
For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
We started talking about weddings and Jeff Bezos' wedding in Venice this week, and of course Miss Ellie's in France in just over 2 weeks.
Just over 2 weeks.
Yeah. So Stuart talks about your wedding, and he says, we're getting married next year as well. It's another example of rip-off Britain. As soon as you say wedding, there's an uplift to the bill.
Yeah.
Well, there is, that's true.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can attest to that. I honestly thought they were making up the numbers. When you first ring up a place, and just like a photographer, for example, you say, how much will it be for coverage for a day? And they say the number, and you go, sorry, what?
Yeah.
Have you added a zero or
I
two?
honestly can never see the value in photographers. I look at it and I understand to a certain amount, but then you see and you think, how much?
Crazy money.
Crazy money, and it shouldn't be that way.
But then they say the only thing you're left with is, at the end of a wedding, is your ring and your photographs. So it's good investment.
But, there are good photographs and bad photographs. The formal type ones are horrendous.
I've heard that that's really annoying to do on the day as well.
Yes, it
All
takes
the
up
queuing
a
up
lot of
for
time.
photographs.
Yeah. And one with the bride's mother and the
and the aunties and the uncles and the cousins, Simon says Jeff Bezos can do what he wants. The money that he is spending on his wedding is supporting the local economy.
I'm sure it needs it.
Well,
Jan says, I got married 45 years ago, and do you know what the cost was?
Yeah, I like the sound of this.
£12.50.
Very nice. Where was it, Jan?
£12.50, that's good.
Yeah, good value.
OK.
Yeah.
Keep us posted on what you want to say. We're on air until 9:25. Still to come, a ceasefire between Israel and Iran in full effect, but it has been broken. That's what we reported on this morning. We're going to be talking about that again throughout the programme. What's left after this?
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dawdney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our viewers and listeners. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're going to talk about a very interesting subject here because we're talking about the closures of banks. Banks being turned into bars and restaurants and all that sort of thing. Now, in your area, Ellie, tell us about your local bank, which is opened.
You can't go to a bank. I mean, I'm very lucky to have a bank on my
But you have got one that's opened.
I've got one that's open, but it's like 9 till 12.
9 a.m. till 12
Monday to
a.m.
Saturday.
Oh, ridiculous.
So barely open at all. So you have to set an alarm and go down there. What about you? How do you get banking done?
Online, I suppose, now, most of it. Not because I want to or I choose to.
I hate
because
the online banking.
You have to. No, totally agree with you. But then it's also, you've got difficulty with so many things closing down your area. Pubs. I mean, I was watching Clarkson's Farm the other night and he was going out to buy a pub and basically any amount available in Oxfordshire and Gloucestershire, any amount, they were all up for sale. Everywhere he went, they were all up for sale.
Yeah.
They all had a price. They all could have gone. Anyway, Hull, for instance, 4.4 bank branches per 100,000 people. That is the worst figures in the country. So today, a banking bus is rolling into Queen Victoria Square to help people left behind. And we're going to go to Anna Riley, who's there for us this morning to talk about this. Anna, I see you've got a guest with you there, but we were just talking just how bad this is and what it means for local communities and things. It just takes away so much mixing and matching, meeting people, doing business, being involved, being part of a community.
It does, Eamonn. A lot of people feel left behind, and certainly here in Yorkshire and the Humber, it's the hardest hit area for bank closures. 500 banks will close in this region in this year alone. Now, I'm joined by Harry Chell. He's the commercial director at SuitsMe. Just tell us about SuitsMe and why you're here today.
Yeah, definitely. So SuitsMe are a financial technology company who specialise in helping people in the UK that have been forgotten and left behind a little bit by the wider UK banking system. So we're finding that more and more across the UK at the moment that people are they're classified as underbanked, which basically means that they've got no normal access to usual sort of financial products and services. So far, we've helped over 500,000 people in the UK get back on their feet by just putting sort of inclusion back into banking.
Yeah, and why Hull? Why have you picked here for this banking bus today?
Well, the bus is going up and down the UK over the next couple of months, but we've picked these locations based on where we see the largest need and the largest take-up from our existing customer base. Hull's one of the top on that list based on the population and the quantity of people that we've got there.
And how does it work, SuitsMe? So people will be coming along and potentially signing up today?
Yeah, so the idea today is that we speak to as many existing customers and new potential customers or people that are struggling financially to get access to normal banking services. As we said, there's 1,500 bank branch closures across the UK in the last 3 years alone. So this mobile branch that we've got, and we've got 5 customer service staff that are with us today to help with any queries or inquiries that people might have about their personal finances.
And how does it work? How is it different to a normal bank?
I think we're focused on the customer. We want to come here and we want to have real conversations with people and understand what their requirements are and to see if there's anything that we can do to improve the product that we've got, to make it more relevant for them. So we're customer first. Our UK call centre is slightly different to other banks that you might see which have taken their call centres offshore. We've got our bus that goes around the parts of the UK. And so it's just that customer focused mentality that I think that sets us aside.
And it's helping these underbanked people, isn't it? About 1 million people in the UK feel underbanked, not represented. And why is that? Is it because they potentially don't have an address registered to get a bank?
Yeah, there's lots of different reasons. So some of the main reasons that we see, it's people with poor credit history. They typically get turned away by high street banks to access an account. People that don't have a fixed address, as you say. It could just be something as simple as not having the right types of identity to onboard. So there's 1 million people in the UK that don't have a passport or a driving licence. They're normally the requirements you'd need to open an account. So we try and think of ways to get around these barriers to entry to open the market up to more of the UK population.
And what about the older generation? Because they typically do like to go into a bank, don't they? Speak to people face to face, might not be comfortable doing online banking.
Yeah, it's a problem, and we see lots of that people not wanting to adopt the new modern world that we live in. It's one of the reasons why we're here today, to try and teach people how to use the tech that we've got. I think, unfortunately, it's something that we can't get away from. It's going to have to be adopted in some way, shape or form. But if we can make people more comfortable, make the app more user-friendly, as simple and straightforward as we can, so that people aren't afraid to get involved with that side of thing, then I think that's what we can do.
And how important do you think that face-to-face contact is? Because we were talking earlier, weren't we? Now, even when you go in a supermarket, you often have to use a self-serve rather than having that personal contact.
Yeah, it's massively important, and you'll find that even when you phone our customer service line, the guys are understanding of the situations that people are in. They want to learn a bit more about you, and they're not rushing to get you off the phone. You'll find that today with the staff that we've got here on the bus, that will be talking to people. It's how you build relationships and rapport, and it's how we keep customers for a long period of time, which is important to us as a business.
And we're impressed by the amount of languages your staff here combined can talk. It's multilingual, because that can be another barrier, can't it, as well?
Definitely, yeah. So we speak 27 different languages in the contact centre, which is based in Manchester. We've got 4 guys here today that speak 9 languages between them. All of these things are small parts that help us serve a wider part of the community, definitely.
And obviously we're in Yorkshire and the Humber today because it's an area where banks are closing, but have you identified any other hotspots around the country as to bank closures where you'll be targeting?
There's a long list of places that we're going to visit over the next 6 months. I think you can find a list of places that we'll visit and the times on our social media platforms. But over the Leeds, I think, is next on the list, and there's 7 or 8 more to follow. But it's not necessarily the biggest city. We've been to Manchester already, been to Birmingham, been to London, and we'll start to visit other areas really soon.
Thank you so much, Harry. So that's the view on the ground here in Hull. We'll be speaking to people that are going to come and use this service, and speaking to people in general as well about the decline of the banks and how that makes them feel.
Anna, appreciate that, and to Harry there as well.
Thank you.
Interesting to see what you're doing. Brendan is saying we have 4 banks in our town, now we have none.
Oh, wow.
And we have to go to the next town to use the couple they have left. We were told to use the post office instead. Now the post office is shut. We then had a hub set up, but unless you have every single bit of electronic kit with you, the machine says no. We gave up in frustration.
Oh, it's so frustrating for people, isn't it? Adrian says we had a Barclays Bank and a Lloyds. Both have closed, and 2 cash machines. Only one seems to work. It's terrible. That's the other thing. You can't get a cash machine anywhere, can you? If you need cash, you have to drive somewhere to find a cash machine. Awful. We've also been talking about weddings today because Jeff Bezos is getting married to Lauren Sanchez in Venice. The locals aren't very happy about it, are they? Very extravagant wedding. Gary has been in touch saying we got married in August last year. We're in our 50s. It was the best day ever. Cost around 30k, including the honeymoon. Beautiful location in Richmond Park. It was worth every penny in our opinion. I get that it's not everyone's choice to spend that much, but I promised my wife the fairy tale, and it was worth every penny to see the smile on her face.
Oh.
That's nice, isn't it?
Very, very nice. Very, very nice. Right, let's get to Beverly and Andrew in Britain's Newsroom, coming up from 9:30. Good morning, guys.
Morning. Good morning to you both. What we're doing this morning as well is keeping our fingers crossed for you with the Trick Awards today, by the way.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
the way I look at that, Beverly, is you say, you know, we are nominated, therefore people get a chance to vote for us, which is tremendous. But I think really what people are saying, it's the whole station. I think, you know, it's our programme, but it's your programme and it's everybody's programme.
Breakfast is the bulwark of every state. I mean, it's brilliant. You won it last year, you're going to win it again.
And the year before.
And the year before that.
3 in a row.
Yeah.
We're going for the hat-trick, Andrew. We're going for the hat-trick.
Well done.
Good.
Although we were looking around the building today and there's only one trophy. We can't find the second. We've lost one.
We've lost one. We're going to have to find
Somebody's got it in there downstairs, Lou.
Have they?
Ellie, is it going to be on the top table at your wedding in 2 weeks?
Yeah,
where it is?
So if we win, I'll take it to France with me.
Oh, yeah,
I'll
you
have it
will.
on the top table.
Yeah, very good idea.
Right, what have we got on the show today? Well, obviously, we're watching the situation in the Middle East. I think, personally, that this ceasefire, I think, is going to hold. I know they're saying it hasn't already. This is kind of what happens, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
They've got to have off-ramps for all countries to save face.
And we're also going to be asking our viewers, who was the major world leader who was in Parliament yesterday but you would barely know? 15, 16 months ago would have been fated by everybody. We're not going to tell you, but we'll reveal that later.
Stay tuned.
In the programme.
And also this idea that Keir Starmer might spend 5% on defence by 2035.
For the birds. For the birds.
I don't know. I might spend...
He won't be Prime Minister in 2030, let alone 2035. It's absurd. He's doing this to try and please his mate Donald Trump when he goes to NATO today.
Also, I don't believe the figures add up. I don't think he's got the money.
He hasn't.
Yeah, anyway.
It's a con.
All that to come and much more. Guys, thank you very much indeed. And folks, thank you for watching us.
Let's go to the weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a grey start out there for most of us. A lot of rain around, but it does tend to ease later. It turns more showery. In some places it will brighten up. Some bright weather there for parts of the southeast and the far north of Scotland first thing. Otherwise extensive cloud, a keen breeze coming from the southwest, and we've got these outbreaks of rain affecting much of Scotland, northwest England, Wales and Northern Ireland. The rain turns to showers by the afternoon and there will be some brighter interludes, particularly through parts of Wales into the Midlands, East Anglia, and where we get some sunshine, 25 Celsius in the southeast. It's starting to feel more humid again, but staying cool further north. Then we go into Tuesday night and it's going to stay warm and humid in the south, but cooler across Scotland and Northern Ireland. Still some showers around during the evening. They're not going to be particularly heavy. They'll move through reasonably quickly. Northern Ireland just seeing a few spots of rain here and there, but still a lot of cloud in the sky. Likewise for Northern England into North Wales. Here we've got our old weather front that's just lingering and bringing outbreaks of more persistent rain, particularly over western hills. But clear spells there for parts of the Midlands and the southeast. Despite the clear spells, we have got higher humidities in the south, so some mist and murk around coasts of southern and western UK, and we are going to see another relatively muggy night, I think, in places, particularly towards the south, 16, 17 Celsius, fresher further north, 11 to 12 for parts of Scotland. Now, we begin Wednesday with a lot of cloud once again, but still some brightness across the south and southeast. Northeast Scotland as well, seeing some glimmers of sunshine. We keep the cloudy zone through the Midlands and parts of Wales, some dribs and drabs of rain, but actually for many it turns out to be a drier and brighter day compared with Tuesday. Sunny spells and just a few showers in the north, and feeling much warmer, 27-28 Celsius in the southeast.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. In South Lanarkshire, drivers should exercise caution due to surface water. The M4 from junction 30 Cardiff Gate to junction 32 Corriton is closed for maintenance from 8 this evening until 6 tomorrow morning. In Gateshead, the A1 southbound exit to the A1231 is partially blocked by a broken down vehicle but is expected to clear soon. Nottinghamshire experiences congestion on the A52 eastbound due to a collision. In East Sussex, the A259 eastbound has lane closures near Bexhill following another incident. And on the trains, East Midlands Railway reports disruption at Manchester Oxford Road. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
King Charles is stepping back from one of the most traditional royal duties. That's